Hello, what's going on? My name is Austin Hamilton, also known as the Porn Coach. Live on TikTok and YouTube and Twitch. Wherever you get your podcasts. The question of the night, the question of every night, at least here on my show, is porn, or otherwise referred to as corn, cheating? Is it cheating while watching strangers have sex? That's the question. Is porn cheating? You can come on, request to join as a guest if you'd like. Or you could comment in the chat. Or you could request to join as a guest and tell me, is porn cheating? What is your thought? Have you been affected by somebody in a relationship who is watching porn? Maybe you are. Maybe you're done with it. Maybe you love watching porn and you want to keep doing it. Come on and chat. I won't judge you. You might feel judged. It's more about you than it is me, though. Good evening, Coach. Hello, Sarah Anna. How are you? How are you? Did God help you through this and restore your marriage? Yes. Yes, for sure. I watched porn for about 20 years, which escalated into physical cheating. My wife, while I was married, I'm still married to the same woman. We've been married for 13 and a half years. And I realize there's a bigger story here than just watching porn. Mike Sanchez, I've been sober for 4 months, and tonight I'm rewarding myself. Rewarding yourself with what? Love your lives. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, lovely Leah. And here we go. Mezcal. Bourbon or mezcal? Hey, what's going on?
Hi.
Is porn cheating?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Do you watch porn?
Not really.
Not really. Maybe sometime. By the way, give me a follow if you guys don't follow me already. If you like my content. If you don't like my content, no problem. So you don't watch porn, or you don't really watch porn?
Doesn't really catches my attention, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. But do you watch it?
And I haven't watched it in years.
Okay. Why's that?
I just like the female's touch, I guess you could say.
You like a real woman. You like having real sex or real intimacy.
Yes, and I be milking a lot whenever I have sex, so I guess that's a good benefit out of that.
Okay. Got it. Are you in a relationship?
No, I'm single right now.
You're single right now. Okay.
Yeah.
When you're single, do you watch porn?
Nah. I hold
Okay.
myself.
Okay.
To the
Why'd you come on
next,
here?
because I'm bored
You're bored. Okay.
and high.
And hi. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for sharing, man. My husband used to say that too. I don't need corn. I have you. And then what? Did you find the porn, Crimson? Hello there, Kalia.
You said my name right.
Did I really?
Yeah, some people say Kali or something.
Oh, Kalia.
Yes.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Is porn cheating?
No.
No, it's not. Okay. Tell me more.
I don't know. Maybe because I watch it too.
You watch it too? Are you in a
Yeah.
relationship?
No. I
No?
just got out of one.
Okay. How often do you watch porn?
Honestly, probably
Yes,
every
honestly.
day.
Every day?
Yeah. I'm probably an addict.
You're probably an addict. How long have you been doing that?
Honestly, the first time I got off and I got this, I love the feeling, so I just kept on doing it repeatedly, like every day, like sometimes 5 times a day.
Sometimes 5 times a day.
Yeah,
Okay. Why do you do that?
it feels good.
Feels good. Okay, 5 times a day. That's takes a lot of time, huh?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes, like when I'm in my bed, like time goes by.
Yeah. And
I realized, well, I kind of realized at first I thought it was normal until like, I don't know, maybe it's different for men. 'Cause I'm not a man, but like some men do it like once a week. So that's when I realized I probably have an issue if you have some men that are doing it once a week.
but you do it 5 times a day.
Probably on average, probably more.
Tell me you're trolling without telling me you're trolling.
No, I'm not trolling. That's what I'm saying. I probably have an issue. I'm not gonna lie about that.
What do you work?
Yes, I work.
What do you do?
I have a government job. I really don't want to say.
Okay, a government job. Okay. Do you watch porn while you're at work?
No.
Are you
There's
sure?
not there's no no, there's no way to watch it, you know, while I'm working.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye. At work is crazy. Brianna, stick around. You'll hear some things. You will hear some things. Hey there, what's going on?
Yo, what's good?
Not much. Is porn cheating?
Yes,
Yes, it is. Okay. Do you watch porn?
used to, not anymore.
What happened?
Well, I don't know about you, but like, I kind of found God in my life. Realized that it's just lust taking over me, so I just stopped doing it. But I do see it as cheating. Yes.
Uh huh. Good for you, man. When did you start watching porn?
Well, it had kind of happened to me when I was like 14, 13, 14. But then and then I kind of realized around 15 or 16 that I shouldn't be doing it. And I just I found God, and
Mm-hmm.
I I've always been a believer in God, but I never really saw like porn as a sin until I started reading the Bible more. But then I realized, so yeah, and yeah, I do see it as cheating as well.
Mm-hmm. So God opened your eyes up to the fact that lust had a grip on your heart, and that encouraged you to change and to stop doing that. Was that hard for you?
At first, it was because it was just like it was so tempting, but once like I just thought about what I'm doing and like that I'm not getting any positive things coming out of it. So but
You
yeah.
there? Oh, sorry, I thought
Oh
you
yeah,
cut out. Yeah, okay. How old are you now, man?
right now I'm 19.
19. Let's go. And how long has it been since you watched porn?
Mm, I'd say, see, I found out that it was wrong at 16, 15, 16, and that I shouldn't be doing it, but it still came around. So I'd say probably like 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Good for you, man. It's pretty uncommon. Do you talk to your friends about this?
Well, I have a group of friends that I talk to them, but not really a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm. Are they on the same page as you, or do
Yeah,
they?
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Cool, man. You have a girlfriend?
Yes, sir, I do.
Nice, man. I bet she's pleased with that.
Yeah. Well, I did open up to her about it like when I first met her, so that was another thing that kind of like kept me from doing it. Just one of those things to think about, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Totally. What advice would you give a 19-year-old kid who is struggling with porn?
I just anybody watching, you know, I just say that, you know, just read the Bible, you know, get into prayer. You know, God loves you, and no matter if you continue to do it or not, He's gonna forgive you. But once you find in your heart that it's not what you want to do, then I mean, it's gonna come to you one day, but it's not gonna happen just overnight. It's gonna take time. But yeah,
Yeah. Cool, man.
yeah.
Love that.
All right.
Thanks for
Well,
sharing, man.
have a good day, sir.
You too, man. See ya.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.
Ivan has more sense than most grown men. He sure does. The brain, the male brain isn't fully developed until 25, 26 years old. And it's been proven that pornography has a negative impact on the brain, particularly a young developing brain. It impedes its ability to really grow into a fully developed brain. So if you get porn out of your life at an early age, your brain can actually fully develop. So somebody like him, what was his name, Ivan? That will go a long ways for him. Good job, man. Thanks for sharing. Hey there, what's going on?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Austin. Is porn cheating?
I don't think it is. And
Don't
I
think it
think
is.
it's important. No, I don't. And I think it's important to establish what you mean by porn and what you mean by cheating, because everybody has different like litmus tests for each of those aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. Pornography is erotic imagery, usually depicting an organ or multiple organs of a person with the erotic intent to arouse. Cheating
So like
is
the
going
book
against the
50 Shades
agreement
of
in a
Grey.
relationship. I'm sorry?
So like the book 50 Shades of Grey, you know, it's pretty erotic, but it's, you know, it's not visual, but it's very erotic in its nature in the descriptions.
Yeah,
Is that is that
I
porn?
I would say it's categorically different in the way that I view it because it's not images, it's not videos. However, I do think it has an erotic intent to arouse. I think it meets that criteria, and it definitely goes into the fantasy world.
Okay. And then, sorry, what was your? I
Cheating
shouldn't
is
have cut
going
you off.
against.
Sorry.
That's okay. Cheating is going against the agreement. Going against
And
an
the
agreement.
agreement is to not have a physical intimacy with another person while you're in a relationship.
Most
Is
people,
that's my
yeah.
understanding.
Well, I
Like
think,
monotony is not to physically engage with another physical human, like
yeah,
while you're in a
there can be
relationship.
debate there, right? So I would say if you're in a committed
Right.
monogamous relationship with another person and you've said something like, I love you, only you, mind, body, and soul, till death do us part. If you deviate from that, whether it's with a person on a screen or otherwise, you've gone against the agreement for commitment and monogamy towards the person, and therefore you've cheated.
So I haven't heard mind, body, soul that I will only love you. That's actually new to me.
It's
Is
typically
that a certain
it's typically
religion
how
or
we.
what is that?
No, that's a fairly common wedding vow that we would have here in the West. I'm committed to you, only you, mind, body, and soul, till death do us part. Typically, you'll get some variation of that in a wedding ceremony here in the West.
That's interesting. So like for me, where I come from, cheating is only physical. I've heard of, and I've heard of this, and that's why I thought this was an interesting prompt, right? I've heard of emotional cheating where, you know, maybe girls will text guys, even though the girl's in a relationship, you know, and she forms this bond with the guy and she starts to rely on him emotionally. You know, is that cheating? Because, you know, and that's where, you know, what do you consider cheating? That's kind of where I was
Yeah,
getting at with
going against
the
the
line.
agreement, right? So yes,
Well,
there's emotional
what
cheating.
is the agreement? I've like I said, I've never heard of that agreement. I've always
Yeah,
thought it was purely physical.
Yeah. Well, here's a question. Are you in a relationship?
No, I'm single right now.
Okay. Have you ever been in a relationship?
Yes, I've been in 3 long-term relationships.
Okay. With a man, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. So if your boyfriend or husband, hypothetically, was soliciting nude images of another woman and then engaging with that person about the things that he would like to do to her, even though they've never met physically, would you see that as a betrayal?
This is where the line gets fuzzy because porn is not
Would you
the
see it as a
intimate
betrayal?
act. I get what you're saying. Hold on. I have to think. Give me a second to think about it because
Okay. Take a minute. Take a minute. If your
if
boyfriend
it,
or
okay, here's the
husband
thing.
was
If it was
soliciting
if it
images
was
from
some
another
if it was a
woman,
girl if it was a girl like he worked with and he's texting her all day and then asked her for like that would seem like a betrayal, right? But if he's online looking at Instagram pics and sees a very showy picture, right? That has butt out, which is a genital area, and that does a certain thing to him. I wouldn't consider that cheat. Do you see like how those are two different
well, yeah, so
things?
here's another question. If your husband or boyfriend is masturbating while watching other women have sex, would you think that's a betrayal?
No, I don't. I
You
don't
wouldn't?
think that
Okay.
is.
Okay.
No.
So the way you hold relationships is that it's okay for your partner to masturbate while watching strangers have sex.
For me, it doesn't seem like it is a betrayal of us. I think men can masturbate to anything. So if it's women having sex or like even a girl on Instagram in a bikini, right? It doesn't matter really what he's looking at. He can be aroused by almost anything. I think I think you had a good point in your first question, soliciting, maybe these images from somebody you know. That is actually a really good point because that to me is an emotional step. For me, the emotional aspect is tied to the physical aspect. So if you don't know the person, there's no emotional or physical ties. I think that's why it's harder for me to agree with the porn thing, right? But if you know the person, boom, emotional connection. If you physically touch them, that's immediately everybody agrees physical touch is cheating. But I think the intimate connection of either talking with the person like individually, like that's the second string, which is what makes it to me the next step into okay, now we're in a danger zone.
Yeah. So viewing pornography is soliciting images from another person. Solicit means to obtain something from someone.
Sorry, what was that?
Viewing pornography is soliciting nude images from someone. Solicit means to obtain
But
something
then
from someone. So the
so
act of
I
watching
would
pornography is going and soliciting or obtaining nude images from somebody, and then they're masturbating to it. And you don't see that as a problem in your relationship. I don't care if you do or not. I just want to. I'm curious about what you think.
yeah, I think if it's like I said, the emotional aspect is the main point to it. So if it's a stranger that there's no emotional ties to and you're not actually talking with them or building a relationship with them, it's the same thing in my opinion as like if I were to watch a Magic Mike movie where there's these really hot guys on screen and it might make me turned on or whatever. It's the same thing as if a guy is on Instagram looking at these hot girls. Like you can physically do to yourself whatever you want while looking at whatever images you want. As soon as you go to the aspect of creating a relationship with the person and then asking for that image, I think you're not only involving images, you're involving an emotional step, and that to me is the step that gets you into the danger zone.
Yeah. So you're describing the difference between emotional and physical cheating. There are differences, and they are
No,
different
because
things.
all of this is still online. I think everyone agrees physical cheating is cheating.
Okay, so
But
here's the
trying to
question. Here's my question for you: is when does cheating begin?
exactly, and that's a great question. And I think everybody disagrees on this subject. For me, I think it's when you have the emotional aspect on top of physical. So I've had, the conversation where, can you hang out alone, go to the gym, live with another girl if you're in a relationship with a woman, with like could a man that I'm in a relationship with, live with this girl that he used to have a crush on. I know he liked her. So that's obviously an emotional relationship, right? Is it cheating? Well, I don't know what he does to pictures of her in his own time, if he ends up doing something physical to himself, but not with her, but it's about her and he lives with her. Like it's such a gray area. I think it's important to not try to draw a line too quickly.
Sure. So for you, I mean, here's the question. I would say it begins when you take your eyes and your heart away from your partner and put it on somebody else. Right? So you may not
Yes.
have consummated the act physically, but if you claim to be in a committed monogamous relationship with somebody, like you're my person and I'm your person, and then you start looking at people online and masturbating to them, I would say you've gone away from your partner.
Really?
Yes,
Because
really.
I,
If you're if you're going away from your partner and putting that towards another person, and particularly lusting after them and then masturbating to them, that's a pretty clear, in my orientation, I'm not asking you to believe it, that's a pretty clear, at a minimum, emotional cheating.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to throw something else at you. Is that like people in long distance relationships that aren't able to have that intimacy on a regular basis might have to do it themselves, right?
That's called
And so,
masturbating.
yeah, but I don't know how TikTok likes those words. I'm trying to keep it TikTok safe.
Yeah. But what does masturbating
I'm
having to
honestly
do
surprised this is
with,
still up based off of the amount of
I
trigger
do
words
this
we
every
said.
night, or most nights. What does
And they
masturbating
don't have
have
an
to
issue with
do?
that. So that's my point is you can masturbate to almost anything, and it's a healthy release for almost everybody. It releases
The problem with that
endorphins,
is
stuff like this.
when you release, you're bonding to the thing in which you're watching.
But
So if
that's
you're
the thing is, it
masturbating while
doesn't have to be
watching,
bad. But it doesn't have to be bad. I think both men and women can do that without watching porn. They can do it to almost anything. So it's more of a it's like when you run and you get that endorphin high. It's the same thing. It's like a release for your body.
right? But so then, if that's true, what do you think would be healthier, to run or to masturbate while watching strangers have sex? Like, what would you prefer your partner to do? If
You
you
don't have
guys
to
are long
masturbate to
distance,
strangers. You can masturbate to looking at the ceiling. It just
that's
feels good.
that's the point. We're talking about is
No, yeah.
porn
So,
cheating.
but what you're talking about, you're saying porn is cheating, and so
Yes, I'm
it's a
saying if
whole
you're
other
masturbating while
aspect.
watching strangers have sex, it's cheating. And then you're
It's
decoupling,
not
which most people
because
actually don't do, decoupling the porn from the masturbation. I'm not making the claim that masturbating is cheating. I'm
interesting.
making the
Okay.
claim that porn is cheating. That's what the question. You see the question here is porn cheating.
Yes, and I thought it was a very interesting prompt because I think everything can kind of be a gray area because what is cheating? What is porn? What is porn? Right?
We
So
went over that.
there's a lot of movies. There's a lot of movie. I know we went over it, but like some movies are PG-13, right? But the scenes in them are very graphic, even though it doesn't show anything, right?
Sure.
It's a very intimate scene. And when I was younger, I mean, it got me hot and heavy, and there was nothing graphic in it, right? So what is that considered porn?
Yeah, you're exactly right on that line of thinking, right? And what's coming to mind right now, again, I'm not asserting this, I haven't fleshed this one out, but what I want to say is what what could be porn for one person may not be for another person. I hold that very loosely, by the way, in particularly in the context of a young brain, a 10, 11, 12-year-old seeing a scene like that very well can be pornographic for them, right? A grown adult seeing a typical, relatively benign kissing scene, we'll say, I wouldn't put it in the same light, right? But here's the thing. Have you seen Game of Thrones?
Yes.
That's porn. Clearly. That's porn. The intent, in my opinion, there is an erotic intent to arouse.
So
Right?
I think
Top,
interesting.
hold on. Top Gun Maverick, for example, the latest one, there's a little spicy scene in there. That's not porn. Right?
So then is everybody that's watching Game of Thrones, even if they're not masturbating, if they just watch Game of Thrones, are they cheating on their partner? If
I
you
wouldn't say
consider that
everyone.
porn.
I wouldn't say everyone.
But
No.
but I'm just trying to follow your logic here. If you
Yeah.
consider porn cheating and Game of Thrones is porn,
Yeah.
everybody that watches Game of Thrones would be cheating.
Yeah. So I see the point you're making. I would just deviate. We're talking about a really edge case. When I'm saying porn, though, generally what I'm speaking about is people who are actively going out and seeking porn from porn sites or OnlyFans, things like that.
And
Right.
and I get that. I'm just testing your perspective to its limits, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I would love to say, like, yes, Game of Thrones categorically is porn, but that's just my opinion. That particularly many of those scenes are like the intent is pornographic, but I can't know that, right? I would say for somebody who truly, let's say they've struggled with faithfulness or monogamy or porn in the past, like myself, probably shouldn't watch Game of Thrones because those scenes are pornographic, in my opinion, right? Somebody else may not view it that way, right? I just wouldn't get too hung up on that. Okay, just to your point, you're right. I mean, it is such a
And-
fringe edge case.
And I do understand what you're doing here with the debate. So I want to quickly put in my piece here. I don't think that porn is cheating. I think that it's the intent and the emotional aspect. If you are, your first question, are you soliciting nudes from somebody? If you are asking for nudes from somebody you know and you have that emotional relationship with them, I think that is cheating. Is everybody that's watching, like, if you see a porn and you're not masturbating, you're not doing anything, I don't think you're cheating. If it was like, there can be a lot of fringe cases out there, right? So I like to play devil's advocate a little
Yeah.
bit, right?
Well, let me
Test
ask you this
everything.
though. What do you think would be a better way to be in relationship? To just, to the best of your ability, to have eyes only for your partner, or to masturbate while watching strangers have sex? What do you think would be more honoring towards one's partner?
I mean, that's a great question. I would actually like to put porn and cheating in separate categories. For me, putting them together does a disservice to everybody that does struggle with porn or people that struggle with cheating. Because I believe emotional cheating is just as harmful as physical cheating. I think porn can lead to physical cheating. I believe both are harmful, by the way. I'm not trying to advocate for either one. I just don't think they should be lumped together. I forgot.
Sure.
Sorry, what was your question?
What do you think would be more honoring? What do you think would be the most honoring thing to do for one's partner? To strive to just have eyes for them and reserve their sexuality for their partner only, or to masturbate while watching strangers have sex? What do you think would be more honoring, a more honoring orientation in a relationship?
Yes, so it would definitely be more honoring to just have eyes for them. And I do understand the harm that porn does, especially to young people, and just to our society in general. I can't get on with the fact that it's linked to cheating. Like, I don't think they're synonymous, and I think it's important to have that separation in there, because guys that cheat, they not really, they don't have as much of a porn issue. Like, it's interesting if you do
That's
find people that,
not true. I do this for a living. I've never talked to a guy who's cheated and hasn't watched porn. That's just anecdotal based on hundreds or thousands of people I've worked with at this point. So you can take it for what it is, but I've never had a case where somebody physically cheats and there's not porn involved.
okay, I think that they should be separate, because I think there are
Well,
a lot of
yeah,
people that do
yeah,
watch
but they're
porn
not,
are
because
not
it-
in the cheating category.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. And by the way, I appreciate your intellectual consistency in the conversation, right? However, it's what it really comes down to is a condition of the heart and what you're doing, what somebody's doing with lust and their desire. Are they keeping it oriented to their partner or not? That's what it comes down to. Am I striving to just keep my eyes towards my partner or not? And I think the or not is when the cheating conversation can come into play, whether it's emotional or physical.
And I think that's good. And I also want to clarify, it's purely anecdotal from my experience and people that I know about the cheating thing. So, I haven't done what you're doing. So if you've had more conversations with people like this, then yeah, obviously you might know a lot more than I do on the subject. So, I can only share what my opinion is. And I think you gave some really great information there. I still think they should be separate. I still don't think it's the same thing, but I do see how one can lead to another. I just don't like clicking them together because, okay, one more thing. A lot of church people struggle with porn, and they don't struggle with the cheating. Like, this is why I say it, right? Like, I do come from a very strong church background. They're so ashamed to admit it. So they're not even in relationships. They've never even kissed a girl. They've never done anything like this. And so they're not even cheating, right? But it's still ruining their lives. And then, is porn cheating? And it's so antagonized.
Well, are
It's
you
just like, I feel like it should
are
be-
you in a faith community? Like, are you in some sort of religious tradition?
I am now a non-denominational Christian. I've had a journey of a few different religions, though.
Yeah. Okay. So as a non-denominational Christian, how would you rationalize that with Matthew 5:27 and 28, where Jesus said, anyone who even looks at a woman with lustful intent has committed adultery with her in his heart? How would you reconcile that?
Adultery is committing, like, cheating on your spouse. So if you're not in a relationship, how can you commit adultery?
So the implication would be you're in a relationship. So how would you
So, yeah.
reconcile that?
So my point from turning it a little bit more towards the people that are not in relationships, like, is porn cheating? It's like, okay, so if you're single, you can watch porn.
Keep that separate. Okay, how would you reconcile that?
But I'm saying it should be separate.
Hold on, we can get there, but in a committed monogamous relationship, again, you're the one that you brought religion into this. You claim to be a non-denominational Christian.
Yes.
So how would you reconcile Jesus' words? If you've ever looked, or if you look at a woman with lustful intent, you've committed adultery with her in your heart.
I think I look at it. I think it's a very good
But
point.
just to be clear,
You're
you're not
making
arguing
a
with
good
me at this
point.
point. You're arguing with Jesus.
No, I know. It's a great point. It's the same thing as, like, even if you are angry at your brother, you murdered him, right? So it's like, okay, so you look at someone with lust, you get angry at somebody, all of a sudden you cheated on somebody or you killed somebody. Like, those are very, very strong words that Jesus had to his
Correct.
community to try to get his point across as to how to live a holy life. And I believe that everybody struggles with stuff in their life, and drawing a line in the sand as to what porn is. So, like, going back to the Game of Thrones thing. So if you're in a relationship, you can't watch you can't even watch rated R stuff. You can't even watch, like, you can't even
No.
scroll through Instagram if it
You're not
turns you
taking.
on.
Well, correct. And again, read the next few verses. Jesus says, if it's causing you to stumble, cut it off. He says, cut your right hand off. And he actually used right hand as an example because the right hand is generally more important than the left hand. I happen to be left-handed, but he was making that point. If it's causing you to stumble, if it's causing you to take your eyes off your wife, cut it off because it's that big of a deal. So if Game of Thrones can cause you to stumble, turn it off. If Instagram is causing you to stumble, turn it off. That's what he's saying there. Because when we take our eyes away from our partner, that's when problems begin.
In my opinion, he comes from a world that didn't have the internet, that didn't have movies, that didn't have this type of women surrounding him. So hear me out, right? In Jesus's day, I believe he's talking about if you develop an emotional relationship that's causing you to lust, stop seeing that woman because you're lusting after her.
But that's not what he said. He said if you even look at a woman with lustful intent, you've committed adultery with her in your heart. And you're right. In his days, they didn't have the internet, but they had they could lust.
So nowadays, you have billboards with women in bras. You have magazines. You have TV ads that pop out. You could be watching a G-rated movie, and then a TV ad comes out with a very scantily clothed woman, right? Like Satan is throwing all of his tricks at all of these men in the world, right? And so to me, I'm like, well, I was actually told when I looked at Victoria's Secret ad, I was lusting after the women as a girl because I saw a girl in a bra, and then I was told I was sinning, but I'm like, but I thought it was a cute bra. And that's where I think the church messes up a little bit because they get so focused on certain things instead of the general aspect that Jesus is going for. I think
Totally.
he was talking about these emotional relationships that you're developing. Cut them off. If you're lusting after a woman, cut it off, right? Because you can't control TV ads. You can't if you're driving on a road, you can't control the billboards you see. You know, if you're shopping, if
you can.
Walk by
you can.
Victoria's
Yes, you
Secret.
can. I had a guy once.
You'll
You'll like
see it.
this. You'll like this. I had a guy once. I live next to a major university. I'm in Arizona, so next to Arizona State, and he said
just came from there.
Oh, really? He said one of the things that would cause him to stumble every day was he would go to this coffee shop right next to campus where all the hot chicks would hang out wearing whatever, girls wear nowadays. And he's like, I can't get away from it, though. I'm like, bro.
Oh, ASU? Yeah,
Go to a different coffee shop. Go to a different coffee shop. You absolutely can control whether or not you see that or not. Go to a different freaking coffee shop.
To test you, I would just say in Scottsdale, all the girls dress like that 24/7. And
yes. I'm born and raised here. I get it.
No, coming from Minnesota, I had never worn a bikini in public ever, right? I go to Scottsdale and they're wearing thongs as bikinis. And I am like going to the beach with all my friends in a two-piece, and all these girls are wearing bikinis, super string tiny bikinis. And it's like these guys that are there, right? Are they expecting that? They're all friends. They're all part of the whatever kayaking club or whatever. Is that their fault for being there at the beach with these women that are dressed like that? And, especially college age guys, like, is it fair to put the blame on them? Like, where's,
no,
like
no,
I said,
absolutely not.
where's
And just
the
to be
line?
clear, Lauren, I'm not knocking women for wearing what they wear. That is not what this is about. If it's causing a man to stumble, he has the ability to choose whether or not he puts himself in that situation. Right?
So he should just leave Arizona, because I'm sorry, all the Scottsdale girls,
just move somewhere else.
they all
No, but here's the thing. Back to we're way off track. Although it's all connected.
Sorry.
And by the way, I can absolutely join you in talking about how the church doesn't do well in this area and most other areas. So I'm right there with you. But here's the thing with anger as well. What's a more useful disposition? To harbor anger against other people in our hearts or not to? That's what Jesus is saying there. It's going to kill you if you do. And by the way, it might actually escalate into you harming somebody. So cut it off. Turn away from it. That's the invitation here. It's the same with lust. If you let that lust run rampant, it will destroy your life. That's what he's saying. And the brain science supports that. Everything supports that as well.
And I'll give this to you. If you're married and your partner is choosing to watch porn over having an intimate time with you, that to me, I mean, your marriage is doomed, right? Is it cheating? That's what we might disagree on, but I think we can both agree that that is going to cause a real hiccup in the relationship.
Well, yeah, and that's where this is way more religious than I normally get, by the way, which I'm okay with. But that's again why the simple the question that you ask, what is cheating? That's why it's so important, because is cheating in the true literal physical sense, is it the moment of insertion where cheating begins? It's like I think everybody would agree. I think you would as well. Like if you're soliciting pictures from somebody or sending nudes to somebody, I think that would be cheating. So therefore we know it isn't at the moment of insertion, right? So it has to start somewhere before the moment of insertion, right? So the question is where? And again, it's once you take your eyes off of, and that's where playing this game of porn being a gray area or lusting after images of somebody being in gray area, you really can't play that game because
You can though, because I think cheating to me has to be two ways. A one-way lust is not cheating. That's just you having an issue.
No, but use the anger example, right? I can harbor anger in my heart over somebody all day long and it could just destroy me and they could have no idea. Right?
Yeah,
The same
but
is true with lust. You can be having lustful thoughts against somebody all day long and they have no idea, but it's not about them at that point. It's about what it's doing to your heart.
and we're not talking about lust, we're talking about cheating. Because cheating, I like that's where we have to get the definition. I don't know. Can we look up at like a definition of cheating? Because maybe I'm wrong on this, but I've always thought it was the emotional plus the physical.
Well, I like to define cheating and again, it's for the sake of these conversations, but just simply going against the agreement. So then what's the agreement? If the agreement is I'm only committed to you, which generally committed relationships would have that either explicit or implicit understanding, right? If you go against that, that's cheating.
So
Let me
is this
just say something
in
for
the
you.
confines of marriage?
I don't like using that word here, because then you get into the whole what is marriage conversation. I think a lot of, that's why I just like to say committed monogamous for the sake of conversation.
Okay.
But yeah, because whether you're married or not, the question is what agreement have you made with one another?
I think most people haven't made what you said because I've been in, like I said, I've been in 3 long-term monogamous relationships and I never said those words before. I think it's
Correct.
super interesting.
Yeah.
And
So-
I
so
think that's
I-
actually good. I don't dislike it. I just don't think people have agreed to that.
I agree. But then here's my question is what do you think the default understanding would be, generally speaking, for people in relationships here in the West? Or differently put, do you think we should expect our partners, if there hasn't been a conversation, do you think we should expect our partners to masturbate while watching strangers have sex? Or do you think we should expect them not to? What do you think would be the default understanding?
I think the default in the West is to expect it.
To expect that our partners masturbate while watching strangers have. Okay. So you don't have but what you're saying is you don't have
I'm not saying it's good.
I got it.
I'm not saying it's good, but it's very common. Almost every person I know does it, whether they're in a relationship or not. And I've traveled all throughout the States. And so, like, again, that's anecdotal, but I also I've watched TikToks and heard other people's experiences,
Yeah. Yeah, but just because it's common doesn't mean it should be accepted or is the normal default, right? I actually, and I poll people on my TikToks all the time. Usually the answer is the opposite of that. Is that the expectation is we're monogamous to one another.
But that's why that's where the marriage talk comes in handy, right? So,
it does, but it really what you're talking about is monogamy.
So if you're just in a committed monogamous relationship, you have to define those terms amongst yourself because there's not a set standard. Marriage has a set standard.
Monogamous
right?
has a definite. Well, monogamous has a definition. It's
of not having
one
another
and one.
partner.
Correct.
Yes,
well,
but it doesn't
not
matter
giving
what you do on your free
yourself.
time.
If you're in a relationship, it does.
Not if you're not physically touching them.
No, you're holding so true to that, right? You are holding so true to the physically touching. Monogamy is the practice or state of being married to one person at a time, or there's other definitions that I pull from. the practice or state of having a sexual relationship with only one partner. So then the question is, what's a sexual relationship? Right? I would
And
say,
for me,
I would
relationships
say,
have to go both ways.
yeah. So, I mean, that's what we can't have conversation from that point on, right? Because I would say if I'm soliciting images from someone, I am in some type of relationship with them in the literal sense of the word, meaning how we relate to one another, right? I am in
I
relationship
actually agree with you.
yeah. So somebody who watches porn religiously 5 times a day,
No.
they're in some sort of relationship with porn. I guarantee you
So
that.
can I for me the difference is porn, it's one way, right? Because this person's putting it out there on the internet. They don't know you, they've never talked to you, you're just looking at them whenever they're like, especially like Game of Thrones, you're watching a spicy movie, whatever adult film you're watching, it's like a one way, right? Whereas polygamy is a relationship, right? When I hear soliciting nudes, that means the person is sending it to you directly,
No,
which means
no.
they're talking to you directly.
But they are.
That's my
If
understanding.
again, I like to be a little bit more malleable with that. And when I say solicit, like, do you know that I'm a tech guy? You're requesting nudes from somebody. The literal thing that's happening behind the scenes on the internet is it's called a request. When you click on something, it's called a request. You are requesting an image. The internet just makes it easier. It helps facilitate the transaction. So you're actually soliciting nude images from somebody. That's what you're doing.
I get your terminology there, but then you'd have to also extend that to movies, films, TV shows,
Correct.
anything
Which you're also doing.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, but to me, that's a one-way transaction.
All right, so let's look, we can banter on this for hours and not get anywhere, and I'm up for it. You're probably in law school at ASU. You're probably up for it as well, but that's just not useful, okay? So
we can move on.
Yeah. Here's the
worries.
question.
Yeah.
Why is it so important for you to like die on this hill of not saying that masturbating while watching strangers have sex is cheating? Genuinely, like why are you hanging your hat on that one?
Because I think cheating is an act of betrayal, and I think that watching porn just hurts yourself. And if you hurt yourself in that way, it can also hurt your partner. But betraying your partner is very different. And I think if you say watching porn is cheating, it kind of diminishes how absolutely how devastating it is if somebody cheats physically, emotionally, in person, has a love affair. You know what I mean? Like to me, it's just so separate. I just don't think they should be in the same category.
Yeah. Well, I can't. I mean, you didn't come here for me to change your mind, right? But that's where we just can't continue the conversation,
That's my
right?
opinion,
And
so.
I got it. And I would just encourage you, honestly, I'm being honest when I'm saying this, is go study lust biblically, and particularly Jesus' words on it. Because that's exactly why he said that, because he is upping the ante here. He's saying this means so much more than just have you consummated a physical act. It's a condition of the heart. And that's why Jesus' words are so important, because it honestly, it takes an argument like yours and it says, throw that freaking argument out the window. It's the wrong argument. The argument is, how should we be treating our partners? How can we most honorably treat our partners? Or in the anger example, treat our friends or our neighbors. It's a much harder standard to live into, absolutely. But it's way more intimate to do that, to say, you know what, I'm just going to commit to you, partner. And I get it, I'm going to see things. I might go to a coffee shop, I might go to a beach, and I might see things. I might turn on the TV and I might see something, but I'm going to turn it off, because it wouldn't be honoring to my partner to continue having those thoughts or continue seeing that to the point where I start masturbating to it.
hmm And the way that you're phrasing everything and having an actual dialogue with me is way more convincing than any of the other, Bible, like the preachers that are kind of thumping you on the head with the Bible and saying like you're a sinner, like go to hell.
Well, it's not useful, right? Porn use is
Yeah.
it's more prevalent amongst married Christian men by about 2 percentage points. It's like 57% of non-Christian married men or non-church going Christian men, non-church going married men, and it's about 59% in church going married men. So you're absolutely right. The church in in a lot of ways doesn't do us a lot of favors. So
Yeah.
yeah. What do you do? Are you
Thank you
a
so
student
much.
at ASU?
Yeah, so I went to I was there a semester, and then I actually went to GCU.
Okay.
Graduated for advertising, and now I'm in marketing. So
Okay. How old are you? Can I
yeah,
ask you that?
I'm 27 now. So I appreciate the thought, that I was still in college, but
Yeah. Well, you sound like
yeah,
you're not 21, but
yeah.
you sound a little older than
No,
that. But
I've had a few years under my belt, but no, I think it's interesting to have debates with people with different opinions and to expand your knowledge and your perspective on things. So I always appreciate that.
yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. Appreciate the chat as well.
Thank you. All
All
right,
right. Bye
bye.
bye. All right. Like and share, people. Give me a follow if you guys don't follow me already. It's up there somewhere. And guys, the whole TikTok ban thing is not looking good. Follow me on YouTube or Instagram or something if you want to stay in touch. Because come, what day is it? January 18th? January 19th? This whole thing could be out the window. So that would be sad. Yeah, same exact username, PXRN Coach. I mean, I'm just reading here, New York Times, TikTok asks Supreme Court to block it. So they got denied in their latest appeal. This was, I think, last week. And it basically is saying we're going to uphold the law. So for anybody saying, no, they're not going to ban it, would you please cite your source? I'm not saying you're lying or misinformed, but every credible news agency and reporting from the courts is saying it's heading in that direction. So if you know something that these people don't, I really would like to know. Because I care about this, because it's my whole platform, basically.
Oh, cool.
Hey there, what's going on?
Hey,
Is porn cheating?
absolutely.
All right.
And this is coming from someone who I think my entire life I had a porn addiction, like as early as I could remember, because unfortunately, I was put in that environment from a really young age. I was born in New York. I had things happen to me, and like even at my babysitters, I had young boys who are around 18, and I'm a 5-year-old, and they were showing me things and teaching me things. So unfortunately, that's how my life went. So I kind of, it's fine now. Like I talk about it all the time. It's just, I'm very open with sharing that. But I did grow up with the idea that that was okay and very normalized. And I had an addiction, and I didn't like speak about it until like recent years because I was someone who I thought, oh, people use it like 3 times a day. Like it's normal to like do that. So I had definitely more of a guy's mindset, and I was recently engaged in January. Well, from last year to this January, and that was a huge thing that was going on. But I think it's cheating 100%. Recently, I did get baptized, and haven't touched it. I haven't even been like I don't even have that want anymore, which is amazing. And I used to not be religious at all, so it's like weird, but I did get baptized, and like the whole feeling went away. Like I used to really rely on it, and like looking back now, I even like pushed my partner at a time. He wasn't a good person, but like at the time, I was even pushing him to watch it so he wouldn't like actually cheat because I was a flight attendant. So I was flying and like going away for many days and then coming back. And I was like, I don't want you to get desperate. So just start watching that. And like, they were down. They just hated that I was doing it and they would want to do it. It was a really odd situation, but looking at it now with a different perspective, it's 100% cheating.
Yeah, so you were actually encouraging your partner to do it when you were gone, basically to hopefully prevent him from actually cheating.
I was,
Did he watch it before that?
yeah, he definitely did.
Okay. But you were kind of just giving him the green light, like, hey, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And it's a situation where like like looking back at my life and I was watching it all the time, it was like it was a relationship with it more so than I say other people did. But I think I was also like, even when I was doing it less, it's still, I was doing, like in my heart, I was like, that's what I wanted. Like I was committing it. And like when you're in a relationship, I think it's just so disrespectful. And I can't even say that because it feels weird to say because I haven't been in a relationship where I haven't watched that and like my partner didn't. But I do know like it felt wrong. So.
Yes. So in future relationships, what do your conversations look like with your with a prospective partner with regard to pornography?
So none, because like I've also been on the other end where I see my sister who is married and her husband suffers with a porn addiction. So seeing on that side, like I don't want to get into that ever again. And like I have definitely gained more self-control. It's not like I ever felt like I lacked it, but I understand that I could fall into a hole of watching it if I could do like start seeing it again. So
Yeah.
I like, you know what I mean? Like it's not that I look at men and like, oh, I'm like, oh my God, I want that. Like I think when I was watching it, I was more open to it. And I used to like, you know, I was surrounded by people who always said like, oh, you can look, you just can't touch. And then slowly, like I think later on in our engagement, I kind of realized because like he was emotionally cheating, and then like on top of that, like the understanding of like as a woman, like porn to me was like I just see it and like I'm doing it, and I don't get like emotionally attached. That's how I thought. I like obviously I was because I was dependent on it, but he used to like see women and like actually get attached to them. Like it was really odd. It was like that's his case. Not all men are like that either. But he did go as far as like messaging certain people towards the end of that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer. Porn use always escalates. It always escalates into something else. It sometimes escalates into physical cheating, though not always, but it always escalates into something else. So you had a pretty big change when you decided to stop watching it, and it sounds like things are better for you, just personally and the way that you view prospective relationships.
Yeah. It also gives you more respect for yourself, honestly. Like if you put it into like I'm a very logical person. So when you put into terms these are actual people, they're not just little playthings. It's not like even AI at some point 'cause you're just super weird if you're doing that. But if it's like you're watching two people get naked and intimate, and I know a lot of people are bringing up movies, but there's a huge difference. Like if you're watching a movie and you start feeling those feelings and you're feeling like you want that to, like, you know what I mean? Like you're getting yourself up. All right, stop watching it. Like if that's what you think is emotionally cheating. And if you're like that affected, I'm someone like, I can view a scene of two people kissing and not feel anything. But if I'm going to start feeling something because I'm watching a sex scene, yeah, at that point it is basically porn. Like I'm going to turn it off.
Yeah.
So like I know like a lot of people are on here saying like what is emotional cheating? Like connecting yourself, like you're committing the act in your heart. Like that's what you're doing. If you're watching two people get intimate, like it's already cheating at that point. You're not just looking at it and like have no feelings towards it. You're feeling something and you're jacking off. That's the honest truth.
All right, I want to, I just asked ChatGPT, what is emotional cheating in 3 sentences? Emotional cheating occurs, and that's my disclaimer, okay? I'm not saying this is my opinion. This is ChatGPT. I have no idea what it's going to say. Emotional cheating occurs when a person forms a deep emotional connection with someone outside their committed relationship, often sharing intimacy, feelings, and thoughts that are typically reserved for their partner. It involves secrecy, emotional dependency, and prioritizing the other person in ways that can undermine trust and intimacy in the primary relationship. While there may be no physical involvement, emotional cheating can be just as damaging because it breaches emotional boundaries and can lead to feelings of betrayal. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It hits on a bunch of like points with it. I think like it's the same, like you can't just gloss over the fact that a lot of people get ED from it, and like it causes people, like, like a lot of people with porn addictions don't feel the need to have sex too. If you're a man, like you've already ejaculated enough. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
some
like
like probably have more, but
if porn if it's not cheating because it's not physical, then why does the eggplant stop working sometimes? Seems pretty
seriously,
physical to me.
yeah.
All right, well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. By the way, I'm a coach. I do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching, both for men who are dealing with unwanted sexual behavior, such as pornography use or sex addiction, as well as women experiencing betrayal trauma. If you have been if you are or have been in a relationship where you've experienced some sort of relational betrayal, consider joining one of my coaching groups. They're $99 a month. We meet for an hour and 15 minutes weekly on Zoom. We meet on Tuesday nights or Wednesdays, and I have groups both for men and women. They're led by myself and other female contributors in the women's groups and male contributors in the male groups. You can go to my website, linked in my bio, to sign up, or you can schedule what I call a discovery call, which is $1. We'll chat for 30 minutes privately, not on TikTok, about your situation, if I may be able to help, or if not, I can point you in another direction. So you can go to link in my bio and do that right now if you want to. If not, keep watching. Follow me if you don't already. Who's next? Hey there, what's going on?
Not much. Can you hear me?
I can. Is porn cheating?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me
Um,
more.
I was wanting to come on because I was noticing how people were saying that it's not cheating because, and I've heard people say this on lives before with you, that it's not because they're not they're not in a relationship, or they don't have an emotional connection. And I feel like that just sounds like if your boyfriend cheats on you and then he tells you, "Oh, but it didn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything. Like I didn't she doesn't mean anything to me." Like, does that make you feel better about it? Like, no. You know?
Hmm.
Like obviously that doesn't make it okay just because he doesn't actually know her, you know? Um,
Yeah.
but
Have you experienced that before?
yes, I have. Not in my current relationship, but in the past relationship.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. How did you handle that?
I broke up with him. It took, like, I didn't break up with him immediately, but kind of quickly. It took about 2 weeks of finding out like worse and worse things, and it eventually led to like well, he said it never got physical. I really don't know. I really don't care. It was as bad enough as that he was texting with another girl, really inappropriate things. But he also did had a bunch of porn and like cam girl stuff and just like really bad stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, but he actually, I talked to you previously one time. I found this out after we had been broken up for like years and years and years. He got arrested for CP like
Yeah.
later on in life too.
Yeah, I remember talking to you.
Yeah, so that was pretty like traumatizing to like learn that he had done that. I don't know, just because I had like dated him for so long, and it's just like kind of creepy to think that he had been like that person. and I haven't known, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Lynn Marie, you did ask to come on and chat. So here you are. Hey there, what's going on?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Is porn cheating?
No.
No, okay. Why?
Because I think what you've done is generalize a lot of this, whereas everything is subjective. Now, I'm going to use an analogy. You say watching porn is cheating. Does that mean that drinking automatically makes you an alcoholic? No. You can do casual things, and I'm sorry, I do not think that it's cheating to watch two people on a screen having sex or being intimate, because it's what you are getting out of it. So you're going to enjoy it and be fine with it, and that's fine. If your partner said, but it's all about communication. So if you have the boundaries, and you said earlier something about an assumed or just a default. You cannot have a relationship in any way, shape, or form with a default. You have to have communication. And that includes all of that.
Hold on. That's not what I said. I asked that guest, what do you think would be the default understanding in a relationship, whether or not it's acceptable to masturbate while watching strangers have sex or not?
Correct, but you're assuming then that they have not had a conversation. If it is a default in someone's brain, they have never
No.
expressed that.
No, there's literally
So
no
the
assumptions.
default-
That's why I asked the question. So what
The
do you
default
think?
is-
I'll ask you the question. What do you think that most people, at least in this country, would think would be the default expectation in a relationship without a conversation? Do you think that the
I
default
think that
understanding
would
would
be a
be that
false
we
flag.
masturbate while watching strangers have sex or not?
That's really a bad question.
Maybe it's a
Because you're
bad
taking
question, but what do you
conversation
think?
out of
What
it.
do you think? What do you think?
I think that a lot of people in this country are actually extremely repressed and do not have the capacity to understand the
And
nuances of various things.
and that's a separate conversation we can have. But just if you were to take a stab at that
exactly-
question, what would you think? What do you think would be the default understanding in
default?
relationship?
The default is that people have been brainwashed to believe that there is an
That's not what I'm
absolute.
asking. I'm asking you to, just in your
You are.
opinion, what do you think the default would
That
be?
is my opinion. The default in this country is that people assume that I am with you and you're the only person and I can't look and I can't talk and I can't do anything because that's considered cheating. And I see that all over TikTok and all social media and even people I know. Oh no, she can't talk to another guy because that's going to be cheating.
No,
He
it's not.
can't look at another girl. When you take it and ask
Do you
for the
think,
default,
hold on. I'm asking your opinion on what you, what you think the default would be. Just your opinion, that's all. So
but
what I'm
you're
hearing,
not being clear.
is what's that?
You have not been clear. You're asking my opinion on a default. My opinion is subjective.
Exactly. And I just want to know your opinion.
My opinion is
And
that
then when
most
you
people
answer
say
that, we can then go on from there. It's a conversation.
My
as you,
personal opinion about a relationship I have is that I'm going to have a conversation. There is no default because I'm not that close-minded to say that I will assume there is a default.
yeah, and
If
and
you're
that's
asking
and
about the opinion of the people in the United States,
I'm not asking you for that. I'm not asking you for that. And you're assuming I live in the United States, which I do.
That's
So-
because you mentioned you were in Arizona.
Okay, fair. So what do you think? I'm not asking you what you think people actually think. What do you think would be the default understanding?
That's
That
the
we
same thing.
masturbate while watching strangers have sex or not? What do you think most people that would land on that without having a conversation?
It happens, so of course it's a default.
I don't disagree with you that a conversation should be had. In fact, I do agree with you that a conversation should be had. But I'm
But
saying
you're
if we
asking a
remove,
question that it's almost impossible to actually answer because there are too many variables. So you're asking for a watered
And-
down, siloed
No, and-
answer
no, and then
that
once-
is too
once-
complex.
this is how conversations work. We like
understand.
establish one point and then we go to the next one. But if we can't start somewhere and progress
But you
forward, we
can't
can't have a
establish-
dialogue.
But you can't establish a point made on a subjective and variable question. You're asking
We
me
absolutely
what
can.
I think
We
the
absolutely can, 'cause
default is in
we're
the
ta-
United States by default, and you can't
Okay.
I can tell you, yes, the default is people do.
No, now
That's
you're making it an absolute, which is not true. That's factually not true. You can't prove that.
correct.
And the
But
chat
you
here
asked me for the
will debunk
default.
that. No, because
You asked me
you
for a
just asserted it
default.
as a fact. When you assert it as a fact, that's different than an opinion. And I guarantee
my
you, this
opinion
chat would
is
just
that the
rip you
default is
on
that.
your assertion there as that being a fact, which then proves that what you just said can't be true.
Now we're going in circles with,
No,
again, a subjective
we're not. We haven't
situation.
even passed the starting line yet, Lynn.
You asked me if porn was cheating, and I said no. You asked me about a default, and I tried to give you my answer, and you
I
told me that
actually
no.
didn't ask you about it. You brought up how you thought that was a bad question, and then I agreed. I said maybe it is a bad question, and then I invited you to answer it anyways, which you still haven't done.
What answer are you looking for?
Yours.
I gave
That's
it
it.
to
I
you.
don't care what your
You
answer
didn't
is.
take it.
I just want
I
your
gave
answer. I'm
you
just
my
curious what you
answer.
believe.
I gave
Okay,
you my answer.
okay,
You didn't accept it
let
as
me
valid.
ask. Okay, let me ask the no, because every time I asked you the question, you said a whole bunch of things. Let me just ask you two one more time. Maybe I didn't hear you. What do you think would be, generally speaking, the default of people here in the United States with regard to how we hold relationships? That it's okay to masturbate while watching strangers have sex or not?
I'm going to tell you again, it's a trick question because yes, people do, and yes, people don't. I
So
know
you,
that's very
so you can't answer the
frustrating for
question. All
you,
right.
but you're
No, what's frustrating is that on one hand you're like, hey, I'm here for an intellectual conversation, but then it's like you're not actually entering into it, and then saying we're talking in
actually,
circles.
no, it is incorrect because you're asking me a
Okay.
question to give you a default of what people would think, and my
No, I'm
opinion
not.
on what
No,
people would think.
correct. No, I'm asking your opinion. Yes, your opinion. That's what I'm asking for. Is your opinion? Are you willing? All right, let me just ask you this: are you willing to share your opinions here?
Obviously, yes.
Why is that obvious? Based on how you haven't answered any questions that are me asking you for your opinion, that isn't obvious.
My opinion, given the question as I understand it, so let me reiterate it back to you how I understand
Okay.
it, so we can at least be on the
So
same
Lynn,
page.
we can't have a conversation here. I'm sorry. I'd love to, and I'm totally open for disagreement. But when we can't even answer questions, and then you
Let's
saying
try
you're going to
one.
answer, no, I'm
Try
sorry.
one more time.
I
Repeat
gave
it
you
one more.
19 times to answer the question, and you didn't. So, okay, okay. Hello, Danielle. How you doing? Your opinion.
Yo,
Hey,
can you
hey,
hear
what's
me?
going on? Yeah, what's up?
Hey. All right, so I just seen this. So, I mean, this is actually kind of a debate I'd have fun with. So, I
Great.
can see
Let's have
both
fun.
sides. So, what is, I guess, the question is porn cheating?
That's the question. Yes, I'm asking you the question: is
Uh,
porn cheating?
I'm going to say no, but I am going to say out of everyone that I know, it depends on who you're necessarily dating.
Okay, why is that?
Well, because, you know, when I was younger, like I'm 34 now, but when I was like 16, you know, in high school, my girlfriend would have been like, "Ah, you're cheating on me because you're watching porn." It's like, yeah, no. But as I got older and went through my 20s, I found out more of my ex-girlfriends watch porn more than I did. So at this point, I think it's just kind of like, it depends on who the person is. But some
Why does it
people,
depend on who the person is?
because they're okay. So I'm also heavily involved with like the bar scene. I've worked for the beer company. I know plenty of bars. I know plenty of bartenders, waitresses, waiters, etc. And half of them will openly admit, "Yeah, I watch porn." The other half are like, "What?" You know. So it really just depends. Is it your cup of tea? Is it something that you do?
Well,
I know
I
women
want to
in
go
their
back to
30s that have never
you're
seen
saying
a
it
porn.
depends. You're saying it depends on the person. Does it depend on the person or the agreement you have in the relationship?
I think that in the relationship, when in the beginning stages of starting a relationship, that's kind of something you need to figure out. Like, if you're, I guess you'd say, if you're into the really kinky shit, you guys are going to get there real quick. But if you're into it, but your partner's not, you kind of need to ask, where do we draw the line in the sand?
Okay. Okay.
I mean, that makes sense, right? If you got,
Well, I think
you may have like an exploration side per se. As you're getting to know your partner in the beginning phases, you should find out whether they're exploring as well or not.
What do you mean by exploring?
It goes back to like a saying. Personally, I'm not speaking on anything with my own stuff. I'm just saying I know plenty of situations where, per se, the whips and chains excite me. That might be something that, say, the dude or the female like. And in the beginning,
Are you
phases-
bisexual?
No.
Okay, you're just talking
But I
hypothetically.
know plenty. I know plenty across the board there too. So, in the beginning phases of the relationship, it's kind of as you get to know your partner. I feel like this is like in the honeymoon phase, I should say, where you're getting to really know your partner. Because at first, it's all good. You know, she's good looking. You know, you guys are vibing, etc. Then that starts to wear off, and you really got to know the other person.
Okay, how? Sorry, I love the way you talk. How do you think you can know what your partner is up for?
Realistically, you don't unless you ask the question.
Yeah, it's called
Hey,
communication.
right, the communication factor there. Hey, do you like this? Do you like being handcuffed in the bedroom, or do you like whips and chains? You know what I mean? Like, hey, you ever played a porn while we're gonna have fun time? You know what I mean? Like, you kind of got to ask those questions, see what works for a relationship.
So having agreement on what's acceptable within the relationship. So here's the question: do you think it's acceptable for yourself or others to masturbate while watching strangers have sex while you're in a relationship?
Wait, I think it's acceptable. Run that by me again.
Do you think it's acceptable for you, for your relationships, for you or your partner to masturbate while watching strangers have sex?
Okay, so by strangers, we're talking like watching porn, or are we talking like dead, you're live with the strangers?
I'm not specifying. I'm just saying to masturbate while watching strangers have sex.
I would draw the line at if my significant other watched something on like a video, cool. But going out and watching it like face to face, that might be a different conversation. That's where I would put that in that communication line.
I don't get it.
Face to face, like so. When what I'm saying is like if she was
So like if
there,
there's somebody standing right in
same
front of her
room as-
and she was masturbating, that would be a problem? Face to face like that?
Yeah, that's just as like I said in the
But if it's
communication.
like
factor,
how
I would tell her.
I'm going to have fun with this one. So how many feet apart do the people need to be in order for it to be a problem for you? You said face to
No,
face
I'm
is a
saying-
no-go. So how many feet apart do they need to be to where it's a problem?
Like not in the
said-
same household. You know what I mean?
So
If it's a
so
video,
roughly what,
there's-
200 feet or so? So if
I mean,
if somebody
watching
if
a
somebody
live stream from
if
across
somebody's
the street,
two
I don't-
if somebody's 201 feet away and your partner's masturbating to them, you'd be like, that's cool. But if they step 1 yard forward, you'd be like, problem.
No. See, that's getting a little out there on that one. What I'm saying is like, I think
Well,
as far
the
as
question I
videos
asked
go,
is it acceptable to masturbate while watching strangers have sex? You brought distance into the equation. I'm
well,
just
when
saying
you ask
watching
the
strangers
question,
have
like,
sex.
It's acceptable. Like if you're watching a video like online, I mean, there's no.
I didn't say video online.
Hey,
I just said masturbate while watching strangers have sex, period. No qualifiers.
I mean, I don't know how I'd honestly react to that. Like, it would be I've never been in that situation. I don't think I personally would feel comfortable with it, but I would tell my partner, like, hey, I don't really feel comfortable with it. I don't think
Okay,
it's wrong.
Okay, so you're not comfortable with
So-
your partner watching porn.
No, I never said that part. That's where I was.
Well, hold
clarifying.
on, time out. You just said you wouldn't be comfortable with your partner masturbating while watching strangers have sex, which is what you're doing when you're watching porn. So help me make it make sense.
Okay, so in that aspect, there's a guy that films it. They make it a video. It gets put. They watch it. If, say, my partner went to the park to walk the dog, and two people are having sex in the park, and she's 100 yards away on a park bench,
300 feet.
yeah, starts
Yeah.
masturbating. Like, I wouldn't necessarily be upset about it. Like,
But 66 yards, you would be upset because that's 198 feet,
no,
right? And that's within your
where I
200
would-
foot limit.
No, like I guess where I would draw the line in the sand with my relationship is I wouldn't care that, but when my partner, say, drives from our residence to a house to watch people have sex 15 feet away, that's just the
Fif-
invite for, like, hey, you want to join? That's where I
15
want to
feet. So you're right back to distance, man.
like
Don't you see
what
though,
I'm-
man?
what
What's
I'm
the
at with it
difference?
is-
What's the difference? If it's a person on the internet 1,000 miles away, or if it's your neighbor through the window, what's the difference?
I guess where I would put it is whether you watch it on the interweb or you watch it from the window, there's like something blocking you from actually going and like getting the temptation of like being
Okay,
joined.
so now you're bringing, instead of it
It's the
being distance,
joining factor.
it's a physical barrier. So if there's a window between, it's okay. So what if it's a window and the other person's 5 feet on the other side of the window? What about that?
I mean, I guess if the person doesn't have like if they're being a peeping tom, then that's just wrong on them, but they can't get in there and the temptation to join, I guess, isn't there. It's a double here, because when I say that, the temptation to join might be there, but then you got to go knock on the window like, hey, let me in, and then they're like,
But what if the window's unlocked? So now we're talking about how good the security is. What is it, man? Where's the
I don't
line?
fucking know. Like that's where I'm like torn on it. That's where it becomes a loaded fucking question, better than a loaded baked potato. Like, there's too many variables at that point. Like, I'm not disagreeing, but I'm not agreeing
Yeah,
either.
but again,
You know
it
what
just
I mean?
it obviously I'm messing with you, man. It's the question goes down to the heart of the issue. If you're taking your eyes away from your partner and putting them on somebody else, lusting after them and masturbating after them, what the barrier is made out of, how many locks there are, how many feet away is it, it shouldn't matter, in my opinion. Because what you're doing is you're taking your eyes away from your partner, trying to play out a fantasy scenario with somebody else. Whether it's 1 foot away, 100 feet away, 199 feet away, 201 feet away, 4,000 feet away. You're taking your eyes away from your partner and putting them on somebody else and lusting after them.
I mean, I agree to that statement, but again, this is where the weird but comes in. I think some people don't see it that way.
I'm not talking to some people. I'm talking to you.
No, I get that, and I'm speaking on like past relationships. They don't really see it that way. It's kind of just like maybe I'm ugly. Maybe like I'll be the first one to say it. Maybe I'm ugly, and they were just hyping themselves up like, yeah, his dick's small, but he's packing over here. He might be ugly, but he's packing. You know what I mean? Like, because they I've had exes that are like, "Does it bother you that I watch porn?" I'm like,
So now we're going to the size of
feel-
the eggplant. That's the factor here.
I don't know. That's totally an unknown there. You know what I mean? Like any girl's gonna tell me what I want to hear. You could ask my exes, and you might get a totally different story. I don't fucking know, but
Will you call one of your exes right now? I'd love to chat with them.
um,
He's actually doing it.
like I'm trying to think of who'd be awake right now. Like we're both here in Arizona. Just so you know, I'm in Gold.
You're in Arizona?
Yeah,
Where do you live?
I'm East Valley,
Okay, I'm in the
like
North Valley.
far East Valley.
Yeah.
So are you like you're probably judging by you? You're probably like Scottsdale. Am I close?
Why would you say that?
Just the hairstyle fits Scottsdale.
The hairstyle, the
So
male
you're
pattern
either
baldness.
Scottsdale, Ahwatukee, or Chandler.
I'm born and raised in Scottsdale.
Okay.
Technically, I don't live in
So
Scottsdale anymore, though, but very close.
You're right on that Scottsdale Phoenix border, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, all right. So I am far east, and so like like how the map of the metropolitan is. You get to this area called Mesa, and once you get towards East Mesa, it's considered far East Valley.
Yeah, I don't go there. It's way too
I am
far.
I am
It's like it's like a day trip. Where are you, like Queen Creek, Globe?
No. Globe is about 30 minutes away from me.
Okay, yeah, it's so far. It's like a day trip to get
I'm the
out there.
base of the superstitions.
Yeah, it's super nice. Some parts.
Super beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of who would
All right,
my
man,
baby
well, it's okay.
mama.
Oh, baby mama.
Yeah, oh yeah, my baby mama. We're totally civil. She's and this is actually something I can tell you. So my baby mama was super, I guess you'd say vanilla. We split. She met another dude. They kind of started to discover
Hey, keep talking. I'm going to step
Well.
away because I got to pee, but I can still hear you, okay?
Okay. So she started to discover her sexuality with her second father of her child. And now she's over here like telling me all these things like, "Oh, you should try this." I'm like, rain check. No. But they're super like that. Like they've had sex with porn playing in the background. That's where I speak on it. I'm like, I think it comes down to that communication factor. Doo-doo-doo. I love the Asian music in the background too.
It's not Asian music.
Like anytime you go to like a fucking Asian nail salon or some shit like that, like I ain't even gonna lie to you, dude. I'm in the trades. I built a callus on my foot. I'm the first dude that'll go get pedicures. Don't fucking care.
Yeah,
And I
man,
tell
I'm good for a
women that
pet.
I do.
Hey,
I'm
you
like,
live in town.
go
You want to
get
get
a
a petty? You want to get a petty sometime? I'll go with you.
I mean, when I'm in Scottsdale, definitely for sure. I'll follow you. I'll hit you up.
Great. Follow me. Send me a DM. I'm not going to the East Valley, though. It's way too far. I got a real small bubble up here.
Would you? Okay, let me ask this. So we've got some beautiful lakes in the state of Arizona.
Links?
Is that fair
Like
to
golf?
No, lakes. Like
Lakes. Yeah, we
like
do.
for boats and stuff.
Yeah.
Fair to say, Havasu.
Yeah, for sure.
Bartlett,
Yeah.
Canyon's one of the most beautiful. Would you go out to the lake?
With you?
Well, I'm not just saying just me, but I'm saying would you come to the East Valley to say go to Canyon Lake?
Oh, probably not. I'm not
Probably
really a
not.
lake person. They're beautiful, but I wouldn't go. I mean, maybe if I got invited by a friend, I would go with them, but not really a lake person.
That's what I'm saying. I have a boat, so
Yeah. All right.
we can make it
All
up
right, man.
there.
Yeah.
But
All right, man. Nice chatting with you.
all right, later.
See ya. That was fun. Who wants to be next? For once, whoever begs the most for the next 10 seconds, I'll bring on. For those of you who are waiting, there's like 20 people waiting right now. Give me a follow if you guys don't follow me already. Appreciate it. Gray, okay, Gray, you win. Okay, and stop with the asking.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing good,
So I
thanks.
was just wondering, what is the term of cheating? Just so we're on like similar line.
Going against the agreement.
Going against the agreement.
Yes.
So it's pretty subjective to each relationship and what cheating is.
Yes.
Okay, so for me personally, I would not define watching porn as cheating.
Okay. So
I
you
do
and your
not think it
partner
is.
have agreed that you can use other people on screens, at least, for your sexual pleasure?
Well, we come from a good place where it's more of we both are not active porn watchers. We both had an agreement that it's not cheating, but at the same time, it is an incredibly odd thing to do, and it's more of like a question of who the person is rather than it is cheating. Because for me, I would see cheating as a physical act with someone, something that's easily definable. Because I don't think there's any sort of exchange in like anything you'd have in a relationship if you're watching porn, that you're not one-on-one with something. If it's like a cam girl, for example, I would say that's cheating because you're going back and forth with someone. There's actually an exchange going on there. I
Hold
feel
on.
like-
But you just said you think cheating is physical. A cam girl's not physical.
No, so physical, and I think it's also an emotional, because I think emotional cheating is a very real.
Okay. Yeah, I got that.
The guy is
So you
relying
don't-
on another woman on the
Okay.
internet.
So you don't think it's just physical?
I think it's physical and emotional. I was just more with the topic of I don't know if I'm allowed to say the S word on here. I don't want to get anything banned or anything, but I think that if we're talking purely like in this case the P word, there's no physicality involved. You're watching something. I think there's a lot of a gray area if you say in a relationship that
Look,
The P
I'm
word
not
is cheating.
specifying physical or emotional cheating. I'm just saying cheating. So you said, and maybe I misheard you, but it has to be physical for it to be cheating. But then you said cam girls would be cheating. So both of those statements can't
yes.
both
So
exist.
I'm sorry. So emotional. There's also I think with a relationship there's an emotional side, and I think if you go outside the relationship for an emotional reliance on someone else, which in a lot of cases these cam girls, men divert to them because they don't get something with their wife, so they go in another direction to get it from someone else.
Yeah, so you would say that that's cheating.
I would say that's cheating because there's an exchange there.
All
In
right.
porn,
So
I think
if your wife were to message somebody else about how much she wanted them, would you say that's cheating?
if she were to message someone explicitly saying how much she wanted them, yes, I would say that's cheating.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think that's very black and white. That's very much saying that you want someone else sexually and they know this information.
I didn't
It's
say
not through a
sexually.
screen or
I
anything.
didn't say sexually.
You want them how then?
Don't know. I
Just
didn't
saying you want
specify.
someone?
I didn't specify.
Okay, I would say that messaging someone that you want them is going down the line. I would say that I caught them in the act of cheating, or like I wouldn't say that that'd be like cheated. I would say if you caught someone do that, it's kind of like a gateway to where it's going.
So back to your thing. You said you and your wife, you typically don't use porn. However, you don't think it would be cheating as long as what I heard basically was as long as you each approve who they're watching.
Not approve who. Okay, so just to clarify, like in my relationship, we had the discussion because she had asked me when it was a fresh relationship, because I'm 22 years old, so it's very popular for my age group to be watching porn. It's part of that up and growing generation where everyone watches it. and she asked for my opinion, for which I said, no, I think porn or P word is degenerate for a lot of other reasons. So that's why I don't engage in it. I don't think it adds anything positive to my life. So that's why I don't engage in it. Now, for the cheating part, she asked me if it's cheating. I said, I do not think it is cheating at all. I don't think that that would be a place that watching porn, like for example. So what do you get if if your buddy shows you on a screen and says, "Look at this," you look. It's just there's a lot of gray areas with it. I think that cheating is like terms that has to be set of like it's black and white. This is cheating. I think it's more of the realm of if you catch the other person doing it. I wouldn't say it's cheating, but I'd say it's grounds for a breakup.
Okay. Okay. Does she watch porn?
No.
Okay. So you don't think it's cheating? Let me ask you this: why would you masturbate while watching somebody else have sex?
Why would you masturbate while somebody else? Oh, I think that I honestly, the thing that I grew up, so I went in high school, I was at an all boys high school. So obviously everything sexually related gets like hyper inflated. So a lot of guys in high school engage in porn in some way or another. And I think it's, for most guys, it's quite, I would say, mindless.
Hold on.
That's
I'm
what
not
I thought.
talking about most guys. I asked you why would you masturbate while watching somebody else have sex if you're in a relationship?
I personally don't get it even outside of a relationship. I think voyeurism.
No. I asked you why within your relationship, why would you go masturbate while watching a stranger have sex?
If you're asking me personally, I don't do that.
Well, I'm talking to you. Of course I'm asking you personally.
Yeah.
You said
No, I can't really speak to experience.
Well,
I do not engage in that because I think it adds negative. Like I feel like it leads to addiction.
I got that. And you said you don't do it. I got that, right? But it sounds like you're not closed off to the possibility of it. Right? Did I hear
There's
you
also
in
the
that?
possibility of what exactly?
Of using porn.
Oh, like in the scope of a relationship. No, I would not. Yeah, I would not define it as cheating.
Right. So, well, let me ask you this then. What would you define as cheating?
I would define cheating as, so in a relationship, if there is a certain exchange that you want to keep sacred within your relationship, whether it be intercourse, oral intercourse, anything along those lines, kissing. I think it has to be, like, as you said, it's subjective in the terms of relationship. So I'd say that anything physical that crosses that boundary that was discussed, which is obviously kissing, and like I just said before, and I think also
But you wouldn't put masturbating to other women in that category?
I would not put it in that category.
You're
No,
not.
I think that's. I think that's a different category. I think that's more.
What about
just degenerate.
fantasizing to other women? Two things can be true, by the way. It can be degenerate and cheating. But what about
No,
fantasizing?
I realize that.
to
I'm saying I
to
put it
other
more in
women?
the degenerate category than I'd put in the cheating category.
I got that. What about fantasizing about other women? Would you say that's cheating?
By fantasizing, do you mean walking down the street and having something pop into your head, and then that would be
Like imagining you're having sex with another woman and masturbating.
Masturbating to the idea of having sex with another woman? I think that's entirely different than actually following through with it. I think it's more of a.
That's not what I asked.
you
I
are-
asked if you think
are-
fantasizing, particularly
No,
masturbating
no,
while
I do not
doing
think
it,
that fantasizing
you would.
is cheating. I would just say I would say more the way that I think about it. I think there's an issue that presents itself if a guy is masturbating to the thought of being with another girl, because normally the case is the guy cannot be with that girl, therefore he is masturbating to her. I think that exists outside of a relationship and in a relationship.
But
I think that.
But hold on. Have you ever watched porn and masturbated?
Yes.
Okay. Were you thinking about being with that person?
Was I thinking about being with that person?
Yeah.
At the time, yes.
Okay. So that literally is what you just defined as would be cheating.
I said that's not cheating, fantasizing about someone.
I know.
I
I
said
know
no
you
to
said
that.
it's not. And then you just agreed that you're thinking about being with the person while masturbating.
Yes.
And you said that would be cheating. Whereas you
What
previously just said something that said it wouldn't be.
what did I say that it wouldn't be? I didn't
You said
understand the
you said
brief.
fantasizing about somebody else wouldn't be,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Like imagining yourself being with the person. And then I said, have you
Yes.
ever watched porn and masturbated? And you said yes. And I don't remember exactly, but were you imagining being with that person? You said yes. So
Yes,
you said
and
you said this thing wouldn't be cheating. Then I walked you through questions that said you do that thing and it is cheating. So
What is the thing that I said is cheating?
I don't know, man. I'm confused now. Too many questions. But basically,
I don't think that fantasies are cheating
okay.
in general.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I've confused myself now.
Okay.
But
yeah. I
but
mean,
you don't think it's cheating.
I do not think it's cheating.
Okay.
I think that there's more of a link there for if your partner does watch porn or do these things, that normally what is the case, and I was doing this outside of a relationship, I was a teenager. So it was quite different at the time. It's more of like the exploration of all this stuff, especially in the way that I grew up. I think that people let me get out of my thoughts for a second. I'm trying to explain this in a way that makes sense. I think that at the time, yes, you would imagine yourself with that person. And what I'm trying to say is, I think there's more to explore with a person is if they are fantasizing themselves with someone else, it means that they want to be with someone else but can't. I think that's more the thing. So I don't think it's explicitly cheating. They're not with that other person, but I think it's more to explore the fact that they would like to be with that person. And I think that exists in a lot of relationships. When girls talk about their crushes they see on the TV, guys do the same thing. I think that there's more of an element there that needs exploration. But for the actual cheating part of it, I don't think that exists, especially when fantasizing about someone else.
Got it. All right. Thanks for sharing, man.
Was that make sense?
Not really, but
Not really?
no. It's honestly, I just don't have the energy for this conversation anymore because it's so hypothetical. I used all my hypothetical energy on that guest early on.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting conversation.
Yeah, but I mean,
do
I guess
you get the point at all that I'm trying to say there?
well, I do, but I think it's a stretch, right? I mean, let me just ask it this way: what would be most honoring towards your partner, to masturbate while watching strangers have sex, or not?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So then, shouldn't we just strive for that?
No, but I think we're discussing what is cheating and what is not. What's okay and
We
not
are,
okay.
but
I think
why
that's a different conversation.
you're so quick to say absolutely not, that masturbating while watching strangers have sex would not be honoring to your partner. Why were you so quickly to say absolutely not?
Well, I think there's things that can exist outside of cheating on why you break up with someone. I think that cheating is a viable offense to break up. I think watching porn is too, but I don't think that it falls under the cheating category.
Yeah, I got that, but I'm just curious why, right? Because if then the question is, what is cheating?
I think cheating is a transaction with someone, and once it crosses a certain limit, whether it be flirting. I think you can. We're speaking about, because I know that earlier you're asking to speak for yourself. I think that other people can say that porn is cheating. They don't like that their partner is lusting over other people. For me personally, I think that saying porn is cheating and lusting is cheating. I would say for myself, I don't think lust is cheating. I think action is cheating, where it's like you're actually pursuing the person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well,
So
I mean,
I think that lusting over someone.
you can mince those words a lot, because what are you doing when you're consistently going and watching porn? Are you pursuing the porn? Are you pursuing the person in the porn?
Are you actively, if you, are you saying if you go back to like an example, like the same star over and over and over?
Yeah, which most people do.
Yeah. So I think that would be an example of, yes, if someone, if in a relationship, if you catch someone doing those things, would I define it as cheating? No, but I would look at your
Is it
partner
only
and be
is
like,
it only
this-
if you catch them, or is it if they do it?
I would imagine normally these people aren't going to step up and talk about it and be like, I like this star specifically. I'm speaking more like real
but is
world
it-
of how
is-
you'd find this person doing this.
That's different than what it is, though. Is it cheating only if you get caught?
No.
So it can
I
still
was
be
speaking
cheating
more
even
to the
if you don't
fact
get
that-
caught.
It can still be cheating if you don't get caught.
Okay.
And yeah,
Got
cheating,
it.
you don't have to get caught for it to be cheating.
Okay. But you said
Cheating
with
is
something
cheating.
else. It's only if you get caught.
Well, I was speaking more that if a guy is normally not going to step forward to his girlfriend and say that this is my favorite star and I love watching this person, normally these things play out by the girl catching them do it.
Normally,
I wasn't
it-
saying
it-
that you have to be caught for it to happen.
Yeah, yeah. It comes to a
Obviously,
head
a guy can
oftentimes
step forward.
when it's discovered. Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks
what
for
was
sharing.
that? Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, I'm going to go to bed soon. I'll take a couple more. Bree, you've been waiting a long time. Hey there, how's it going? Hello? 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 Did you fall asleep, Bree? We've had a lot of snores lately. A lot of snores. Dream big with this Hollywood mom. Me. Okay. Where's your name? There you are.
Okay. Hi.
Hey there, how's it going?
Hey, good, good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, turn that
I'm
down.
good, right? Yeah, there we
you're
go.
good now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, your question, is it cheating? I think it is, yes. I had a long marriage, and before the marriage, I knew that my ex was doing it. He told me, but I thought, as a woman that was going to give to him, I had not given to him earlier, if you know what I mean. So when I got married, it was special, and I thought, well, if I'm doing that, he's not going to do it anymore. My own thought. And it got progressively worse. And so he just kept going and going. And I noticed that it actually affected our relationship in an awful way. Physically, it was affecting us. Mentally, it was affecting us. And I never even thought if it went further than that. But like now I'm almost thinking it could have. He would go on business trips and things like that. But I always knew when he went on business trips, he was doing that. And he would come back and literally be sorry and want to go to church and all this. And I'm like, well, that's not the way it is. And then it was an excuse. Oh, every man does it. So that kind of thing. And it made me feel less of a woman for sure.
Sorry to hear that. Are you still in relationship with him?
No, we did get divorced.
You got divorced. Okay. So you knew before, and you thought that once you started doing the deed, it would go away, and it didn't.
I
Which it
did, yeah.
usually-
That's exactly
yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah, it usually doesn't. Unfortunately. Yeah. How long were you guys married?
18 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah, very long time. Very long time. And
What got you to the point of getting divorced?
well, I think a lot of it was when this was happening. I realized, like I said, our physical relationship wasn't as strong. And then also, communication wasn't as great. There was just a lot of disconnect. And I think a lot of disconnect was him in another mindset with I don't even know what he was watching, to be honest with you. I don't know what porn he was watching. No idea. But I do know he was watching it and his mind was elsewhere. And I noticed even physically, he was different towards me and different things like that. And sometimes not even towards me. So angry more, different things start coming out. And also I think angry with himself because he didn't want to do it, but he kept doing it.
Did he ever get
And
help?
then, he tried, but then he also made the excuse, oh, every man does it. Every man does it. So then it was kind of that thing. I think after we divorced, he actually stopped, or that's at least what he had mentioned. So I don't know if that changed things, but it was bad. So it just started taking a toll on the whole relationship, and it made me feel not special, less than a woman. And it was difficult.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Thank you.
What would you say to somebody who might be in a similar situation where they know porn is involved before getting married? What would you say to them?
I would say to absolutely talk to your partner about it. Don't assume that it's going to stop. Don't assume that if you're going to do the deed after that it's going to stop, because you're not going to fulfill what he had before, no matter what you're doing. It's an addiction. It's something that he's doing. So you need to discuss it, and you need to be clear about it. And if it's something that you are not going to accept, then you got to understand it's not going to change. It's not until he wants to change it. And so you can't assume it. You just cannot, because it will just get progressively worse. And then you'll start thinking, is he really, he's cheating through that? Yes, through watching, but is he cheating more? Is it being more physical? Is it getting to a different place? Like you had said, a lot of people do. They go to that next step. So I don't know. Just don't be as naive, I guess, as I was.
Yeah, well, you learned something. That's
I
for
did.
sure. Yeah.
I did for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and getting married and having sex doesn't solve it, because it's much deeper oftentimes than, not having sex. And in your case, you said it even got worse once you got married. Because again, generally speaking, people use pornography because they're eroticizing their wounds, the wounds of the past, and seeking sexual pleasure to make them feel better about it in the moment, which it works for a moment. Then you usually feel worse afterwards and emptier.
So why isn't it that when I, became his wife and I was with him all the time, never holding back, always there, why wasn't I enough?
No, that's the wrong question.
Okay.
That's the wrong question. It's not that you weren't enough. It's, again, he was eroticizing the wounds. He learned it, presumably. I've never talked to the guy, but usually how it goes is he found pornography at a young age. Something happened in his life. He learned to use pornography as a tool to make himself feel better instead of confronting head on what he was dealing with. Whatever he was, stressed about, anxious about, depressed about, sad about. And that became a tool or a coping mechanism, a maladaptive coping strategy to deal with the pain of life. So having more sex isn't the answer. It's figuring out how to be with those emotions and use healthy tools, healthy coping strategies to navigate through it. So again, it's the wrong question. It has nothing to do with you.
Okay.
No,
that was my problem. Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'll go nuts. You probably did go nuts in an 18-year marriage thinking, why? It's like, I'm doing all these things for him. Why is he not stopping? Because he's not doing it because of you in the first place. And that's where the healing through betrayal is so important, is to separate yourself from his actions. You are not the cause of it. You didn't start it. You're not the reason. Nothing you can do or not do will change the fact that he's going to use that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because that's how I felt. I was going to, now that I'm doing everything, hey, then I'll be your coping mechanism, or I'll help you, or I'll be your savior. That's not the way it works. I get it.
Right. Yeah, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You guys have kids?
We do. Yeah, we have 2 kids. And that also was worrisome too, to be honest, because I'm thinking if they ever get on his phone, are they going to see something? Is going to start with them? So there was always that too on top of everything else. So it was
Yeah.
just a very,
Well, and that's a very real conversation. You know, most kids nowadays are exposed to pornography by the age of 13.
wow.
By the age of 13. And it's not a matter of if they're exposed, it's a matter of when and
Okay.
how. Who's going to expose them to it?
Right.
I was just having this conversation with my wife. My oldest is 9, my son. And I'm not naive enough to think he's not going to see it, but it's how's he going to find it?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to
Yeah.
be there to have the conversation when he does. And there's a great book called Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, which is a book designed for parents of kids ages 7 to 11 to talk about pornography.
Wow. Okay.
Because you want to have the conversation with them,
Exactly. Yeah.
not having them find it on the internet. And it sounds like your ex-husband, is probably not going to be the most equipped to have that conversation.
No, no. And I have talked to my kids about it. You know, I've found it was something my daughter had watched, and I don't know if it just popped up or whatever. And I've talked to her about it. Then my son, I've talked to him. I've always been very proactive in it just because of what I went through. So I've really been, you know, explaining, and they're really good, actually, really good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my daughter, of course, knows now everything because she's 19, so she knows everything, and so it's something she doesn't want to deal with, or I don't know, feels awful about it, you know,
Yeah,
that happened because I hid it, of course, from them.
yeah, yeah. Well, now you get to have a conversation with them about it.
Exactly.
Hold
Exactly.
on, hold on, hold on.
Okay.
You didn't do the deed until you got married. You were married
Yep.
for 18 years and you have a 19-year-old daughter.
19. Oh, hold on a minute. No, hold on. I got married. No. I had her in 2005. I was married in 2003.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, because no, because you've been divorced for at least a year, so it does make sense.
Yes, I've been divorced quite a while. Yes.
Got it.
Oh my God, you freaked me out. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not lying. I
No,
promise.
that's fine. That's fine.
Oh my God.
You're right. That's my
bad.
bad. My bad. No,
No, it was 2 years after we were married. I got pregnant
got it.
or had her. 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been divorced for just a while now.
You didn't get divorced yesterday. That's
No, I didn't get
Yeah.
divorced yesterday. No, it took 3 long years to get divorced.
yeah,
It was crazy. It was crazy.
yeah. All right. Well, thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. I hope it helps. And I hope that, you know, women can understand that it isn't them. I think that's the biggest thing. I know you say that, but we do feel like it's us.
Well,
And
it's
that's
not. So stop believing that.
Okay, I know. I won't now, but I'm saying it, when you're in it, it's
Mhm.
very difficult because we do everything to try to get the man's attention, and sometimes we just can't because it got so deep.
Yeah.
So just realize that it's not us, and they're the ones that need the help. And if we need to get out of it to better ourselves and to help him in the process, go for it.
Well, they need help and we need help. Everyone needs help when this is
That's
involved.
true.
Because it's
That's true.
revealing a crack in the foundation of the relationship. So him getting help is not the solution.
Okay.
Both people need help, individually and together.
And together.
So I would just offer that, like to just say, well, he needs to go get help, he needs to go get fixed, and then it's all going to be fine. It just doesn't work like that. It's
But
part
what
of
if he
it.
stopped? But if he stopped it, that would help. I mean, that would have changed a lot in our
Stopping actually is that actually doesn't do a whole lot. The goal is not to stop watching porn. The goal is to totally reorient yourself towards your partner and have a healthy relationship. Right? Quitting porn is a pretty lousy goal. Right? It's fine, right? But I mean, do you just want a partner who doesn't watch porn, or do you want a partner who does do a lot of things like loving you, honoring you, cherishing, protecting you, providing for you, caring for you, being emotionally available to you?
True.
That's
I see
probably what you want, right?
Yes. That's like the Band-Aid. I get it.
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
So again, not watching porn is great. You know, not lusting is great. And it's certainly helpful. It's a piece of the equation because lust and love can't coexist at the same time.
Right. Right. I get
No.
it. I see what you're saying. No, that makes sense.
No.
Yeah. And
All right.
I've gotten help through it too. So I know it.
No.
We all do need help.
No.
So
Yeah.
thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thanks for sharing.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Have a good night. Bye.
You need to explain that to my husband, Coach. Great. I'd love to. You can schedule a call with me using the link in my bio. It's $1 for a 30-minute call. And we'll talk about your situation. Do I help couples with things like this? Yes, I do. I do couples coaching as well as individuals, both in group settings and in one-on-one settings. I'm glad you asked. You can go to the link in my bio to schedule a call with me if you'd like. I have groups both for women who are experiencing betrayal trauma and for men who are going through porn or sex addiction of some sort or other unwanted sexual behavior. If there is hope for me, there's hope for you, people. I watched porn for about 20 years, which escalated into physical cheating. My wife, I'm still married to her. We've been married 13 years. In the last 7.5 years, we've been able to restore our marriage into something that's beautiful. And it's possible. It's possible. Porn kills love. Porn kills love. Removing porn is great, but that's just the beginning to rebuilding a relationship. So yeah, we'd normally my discovery call is $50, but Merry Christmas. It's $1 right now. If you want to schedule a call. Krista, what am I doing for Christmas? We're hanging out with some family. Thanks for asking. Some family plans. We're going to visit my wife's family. We actually did our Christmas here yesterday. And yeah, looking forward to it. I'm going to not be on as much for like the next 2 weeks. Just spoiler alert. I'll try to be on maybe a couple times next week, but I'm going to be focusing on spending time with my family. I still have hope for rebuilding with my fella in separation. Good. There's hope. And hope is not a strategy. So what's your plan? What is the plan there? Do you feel like if a couple has been through it and a bunch that you both can come back together? Yeah, absolutely. And reconnect, or do you feel like the relationship is basically over? There's absolutely hope. What it requires is two willing participants to come to the table and figure out what happened, and then figure out what we're wanting to do going forward, and then figure out what's required of us to build that relationship that we want going forward. If you want to do something hard, get married is how the saying goes. But if you want to do something hard, try to selflessly give yourself to another person and have two people try to do that. That's hard. Because when you take two people who are selfish, we all are, by the way, and then put them in a relationship, in 100% of the cases, conflict happens. I've never seen a case where conflict doesn't happen in a relationship with two breathing human beings. Even when one's not breathing. No, that's a bad analogy. That's dark. Conflict always happens. There's a book called Fight Right. It says that 69% of conflict in relationship is unresolvable. It goes unresolved for the relationship. Dark Mark, hello. 69% of conflict in relationship is unresolvable. So almost 3/4 of conflict in relationship goes unresolved. So what are you going to do with that? Learn how to deal with conflict. What's your top advice for self-discipline in general? Well, I'd read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a great book. Let's start there, Krista. And then if you're not disciplined, ask yourself why. It's something I certainly struggle with. So why? What am I avoiding? There's usually a fear there, an underlying fear. I'm afraid of something that I'm avoiding, which is contributing to the lack of discipline or the perceived lack of discipline. You should have a chat show. This is it, Beth. You're on it. Follow me on YouTube, though, because if and when TikTok gets banned, we're going to have to do things different here. I ordered that book for my guy for Christmas. Good. Awesome. Krista, that is a sign for sure. Do they need to do therapy, coaching, or accountability app to actually stop, or can they just stop? The data suggests that the odds of relapse within 6 months after of trying to stop watching porn, the odds of relapse is basically 100% if you're not getting some sort of intentional help. Lila May. So what I say is, in the people who I see have the most success, whether they're working with me or somebody else, is some sort of one-on-one work, coaching, counseling, therapy, some sort of group work, SAA groups. I have groups as well. Mine cost money, some don't. And then a commitment to continuous education. I had a conversation with somebody recently, and I was telling him, like, I spend a lot of time and money on this stuff every year because I'm continuously learning and growing and getting better at how to do this, which is one, just me keeping on my path, me loving my wife, me building our relationship. You got to do that. If you want it to work well, you got to continuously invest in it. So how will you do that? What book is for men and phone number? What does that mean? This is the book I recommend people start with. It's called Unwanted by Jay Stringer, How Sexual Brokenness Reveals Our Way to Healing. It does come from a Christian faith-based perspective, and if you're adverse to that, I say still read it. Most of the men in my groups are reading it. I've had people who are atheists, Muslims, Jews, Christians, agnostics, Hindu. Everyone reads it, and everyone likes it. So I'd highly recommend that book, Unwanted by Jay Stringer. And this is I'd read it together kind of book. It'll bring up a lot. May I rejoin the live, Gray? Sure, but if my head starts spinning again, I'm going to go to bed. Yo,
Hello,
what's up?
can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I just rejoined the live, and you were just discussing like a bit deeper into the topic. Besides the idea of like cheating, because I think aside from that, because I'm thinking back of like what I said, I feel like it was almost in like a point of me of saying it's not cheating, therefore it's like it's defensible, which I think is not okay at all. Obviously, I think that the perspective that I was coming from is, for me personally, I know it does mean zero benefit. At least I find them in my life. I kind of wanted to ask you, like, because we had our discussion and you came from a perspective of, it sounded like you did think it was cheating. So can I ask you the same question of, do you think it is cheating?
Yeah, I think if you're in a committed monogamous relationship with another person and you've said something like, I love you, only you, mind, body, and soul, till death do us part. If you deviate from that commitment, whether it's using a person on a screen or otherwise, I think you've gone against the agreement and therefore cheated.
So that was a so for the vows, are you saying it for married couples or also for like boyfriend, girlfriend?
I didn't
just saying
specify
past that
whether it
point.
was, I didn't say whether it was married or not. I said if you're a committed monogamous relationship, and said something like, and then I did describe what a vow would traditionally look like. However, it doesn't have to be a vow. It could just be a dating relationship where there's a mutual commitment. A mutual commitment saying, you're my person, you're my boyfriend, you're my girlfriend, right? That's implied, at least in my orientation, that I'm committing to you and you only. But again, it may not be explicit.
Okay, so from like their point on, if you are doing anything that potentially damages that bond, that's what you would consider to be cheating in this case?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I was just curious because I was thinking back a little bit, because I was coming from a perspective of, I feel like for myself, I think it's just, there's absolutely zero benefit, and I've seen no benefit from it. I think that men start to view girls as more of objects. And like I said before, coming from an all-boys school, you especially experience that because
totally,
you have very
man.
little
Yeah, you're
experience
exactly
with
right.
women.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's one of the problems with porn is that it's reinforcing the notion that women are sexual objects for my gratification, which is a very dangerous mindset. Right?
Got it.
And
So do
porn.
you do other lives, or is this like the main question you normally bounce off of for people who join?
I'm a one-trick pony. We start here and go wherever the conversation takes us. it just, again, this question is just a conversation starter, right? But yeah, I mean, no, this is the only topic I do, at least for now. So,
Okay, got it.
why, you want to
And
debate
you-
about something else? Why, you want to debate about something else?
No, I was genuinely curious because
Yeah.
I think that from the point of cheating and saying no, it's not cheating. Yes, it is cheating. I would like this topic does interest me a lot because I think it is a unique topic to explore because with it being cheating, it's like, well, does that mean all forms of lust are cheating? Like if a girl were to say, I was cheated on, versus if their partner engaged in intercourse with someone all the way to like watching corn. Like there's
Yeah.
a pretty big range there. Would you disagree?
I would agree. I mean, again, I think to the letter of it, like I would think about it this way, like, how do I put it? I do think it can merit some explanation, right? Like, let's just say somebody who, you're on Instagram just looking at whatever, and you happen to stumble upon a thirst trap, and then you find yourself watching 25 thirst traps. You didn't even masturbate, but you just started lusting after these women, and you scrolled, for a little too long, right? I mean, sure,
Yeah.
if you want to hold legalistically to it, yeah. Did you betray your spouse there? I think you did, right? And I would put that in the same bucket as I just went on a bender in Vegas, and I I paid for some things I never thought that I would pay for, and I had to get an STD test when I came home. Same
Got
bucket, same bucket,
Same bucket?
same bucket. Absolutely, same bucket.
Okay, that's interesting. So,
Yeah.
like for someone who goes into a rabbit hole, they see someone on their For You page and find a girl extremely attractive and start watching their videos and engage and look up their background, all these things. You would say that falls in the same bucket as
Absolutely,
The Vegas
it's
example?
betrayal. Yeah, it's a betrayal.
Are you saying it's in the same bucket or on the same scale? Like
I'm
'cause I
saying
would
it's
say
in the
that's-
same.
that's a-
It's in the same bucket. We can then talk about where it is in there. Sure, right?
Yeah,
But
because
it's
cheating is a scale, I would say, right? It's like when you pass a certain point, that's too far.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you're trying to have that conversation, you're missing the point. And bro, trust me, I'm witness to a lot of these conversations. A man trying to argue with his wife to try to downplay the severity of what he did is always a losing conversation.
Of course.
Always. Right? So the invitation there, and this is where it takes a lot to get through a guy's thick-headed skull, myself included. I never had vaginal intercourse with another woman in all my infidelities. And I would have hung my hat on that for years, saying, well, I didn't cheat. It's not that bad. Until finally, I'm like, what the, Austin? You freaking betrayed your wife. This is a big problem,
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah.
So again, that's
yeah, I
why
think that
the gravity of it is this is a big problem, and it needs to be resolved because I
course,
turned
agreed.
away, the person turned away from their spouse and put their eyes on somebody else. Problem.
Yeah, I think we 100% agree on that. I think I was more like looking into the kind of like the semantics of the question of like, is it cheating? Like, could someone go out in public and be like, oh my God, my boyfriend cheated on me. I caught him watching corn. He
Yeah.
told me he watches corn. He cheated on me.
Yeah. And I would say
Versus
if,
what you
if-
said, the Vegas example of he went to Vegas and had intercourse with another woman. I was cheated on.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, I do think that there can be some, it's like, yes, it's bad. It's all in the same bucket. And here's the story. Here's what happened. Right? So I gave some
Right.
hypothetical examples there, right? But
Yes.
again, it's still a problem. Like,
Of course, agreed.
and again, if you're finding yourself wanting to have that conversation of, well, it's not that bad, wrong conversation. Right?
Yes, no, absolutely not. I agree. It's. I would say in a lot of ways, I could say that corn could be almost in some ways worse than cheating.
Yeah, and many women do say that. Like,
Because
I've
then
talked to
you're-
many
you're
women who are like,
disengaging.
I wish he had a physical affair. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, because then you disengage with your relationship. You become like kind of like you want to gravitate towards your laptop. You remove everything from your life.
Yeah.
I think that in a lot of ways it can be worse. So in a way, like by saying it's not cheating, I'm not saying it's not an absolutely terrible thing that can absolutely ruin your life. Terry Crews was a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm.
A
Yeah.
guy who had everything and decided that, or didn't decide, he created an addiction out of it and lost his wife, lost his family, and had to go on this whole journey to come back to. He literally lost everything. I think
Yeah.
porn is an absolutely terrible thing.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, as a Christian, that's obviously there's religious aspects to it why I think it's bad, but I also have made arguments to my friends where I think it should be banned, especially for those under 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think on
Yeah,
the
I mean,
young mind it can be terrible.
well, it's detrimental to the young mind. But here's the thing: is even if we ban it, that actually doesn't change a whole lot, right? Like, yes,
It doesn't.
absolutely, but there's a much
talking
bigger
to
conversation there.
I actually had a decent discussion with my my mom, because she's actually very passionate about it. She talks about it. She thinks it's the worst thing ever. She says that when she was a kid or when she was a teenager, men would have to go into the back of the store and go in that special movie section and have the embarrassment of going into public and doing that. And that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. So I think in a way, banning it on the internet or making it inaccessible, like in the state of North Carolina is where I go to school, it is banned in the state. You cannot get on a website without showing
It's not.
some
It's
form of
not
ID.
true. It's not. I mean,
Certain websites are certain websites.
right. Like I'm in agreement that certain sites should be banned, and I also have the opinion it's like a drop in the bucket of addressing this problem. Because just because the hub is banned in whatever it is now, 15 states or something like that, that's one of like 10 trillion porn sites.
Of course,
So,
yeah. No.
so what did
I
we
know
do
that's
by
true, yeah.
banning that? Like, and actually, the whole thing with banning Pornhub is more about child sex trafficking and unconsensual content than it is porn, right? Because
Yes.
porn is legal. Porn is legal. Period.
By the
the
way, are
reason-
we allowed to say that? Are we allowed to say that word?
You've heard me say it 4,000 times since I've been on
Okay.
tonight.
No, I'm just making sure because I've heard corn. I've heard that. I'm just making sure
Yeah,
because I don't
Yeah.
want. I know I can get you banned, right? Potentially, if I use the wrong word.
yeah, but don't worry
Okay.
about it. TikTok's going
Right.
away in a month anyway, so follow me on YouTube, people.
Follow you on YouTube.
Yeah.
I heard that. I heard that Trump. He said that he's taking a special liking to TikTok today. So
Well,
So
it's
just-
weird because who knows what'll happen, but I mean, I gotta.
yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. It's been
I
going
know.
on
I
for
hope
the
it doesn't
past,
go
like, 4
away, but-
years.
Yeah. But anyways, like banning it, I mean, sure, that's great, but you know, I'm less, this is just my platform and what I stand for. I'm not the whole, let's try to ban porn. There's other people doing that are great. I'm the, let's try to reduce the desire for people to act out lustfully. That's the game I'm up to.
Okay, so
Right?
you're trying to
Like-
attack lust at like point one. That's too far. Like,
Yeah. So I'm up for, okay, well, why are you watching porn? And is that useful for you? Because if everybody stops wanting to go watch porn, porn will cease to exist.
how I'm actually that's interesting. How do you think that? How would you start that? Like, how would you eliminate the want to go watch those things?
By creating content on social media and running groups
Creating
and
content
coaching
on social
people.
media?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, what would the thing be to like? Because obviously, I think we both agree that on the widest scale possible, we'd like it to go away.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think? I'm not expecting like an answer. I'm just curious. What do you think is the first step in creating that?
Well, the first step for a young man like you, how old are you? 22, did you say?
22.
As a 22-year-old man, it's take a stand, dude. Take a stand. Go tell your friends, hey, porn is killing you. It's destroying you from the inside out. Is this the man you want to be? Right? Try to convict them. Hey, is this really what
Yes.
you're up for? By the way, women hate this. When women find it, they see you as a less suitable partner. They might tell you that they don't have a problem with it, like many women here do. But just wait. They'll have a problem with it at some
Well,
point.
eventually they will. Yes.
Yeah.
Eventually
So-
they will, because then they start to care a little more.
Yeah, so if you're
Who does
passionate
want
about
that,
it,
right?
yeah, if you're passionate about it, take a stand against it.
I do. I definitely do. I'm very outspoken about it. One of my friends actually struggles, I would say, pretty severely with it. And then he's not very outgoing, and his comfort is going back to like he likes reading books about like two people in like a relationship, like a rom-com, engages in a lot of porn, and he kind of puts himself in a hole where he is satisfied, but nothing about that is satisfactory, at least not in most people's eyes.
Well, he's not. He's not satisfied if he keeps going back to it. If it was satisfying, he wouldn't go back to it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's getting his nice brain releases from
No, I know.
his laptop.
Yeah, he thinks he's satisfied, but he's not. If he was, he wouldn't go back to it if it was satisfying. But porn doesn't leave
Yeah.
you satisfied. It leaves you shameful, usually depressed, and wanting more, and then you go back to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for chatting.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much.
That's it. All right. All right. So that's the punchline here, people, is we don't have to stand for this. Okay? If you're in a relationship with somebody who's watching porn, you don't have to stand for it. You don't have to stand for it. Put your foot down like you probably are wanting to. Say, I won't tolerate this anymore. Again, military couple deployments, so it's a little different. It's not different, Kayla. It's not different. Same thing. There's just a little distance between, a little time. But it's not different. It's no different. The question always goes back to when you have a feeling, you have a desire, do you go satisfy the desire using somebody who's not your partner or not? Period. That's the conversation. So it's not different. Is this the last live for a few weeks or be back on? I probably will be back on tomorrow night after my women's call at about 9:30, 11:30 Eastern time. And then that'll be it for probably about a week. But we'll see. How do you ask your partner to stop? You say, hello, partner. I don't like when you masturbate while watching other people have sex. Will you please stop? And then you set a boundary. And you got to request it. So ask them. Just hit it head on. And if they say yes, they will stop, great. I'm going to check in with you tomorrow or the next day or whatever, a week from now, and ask you how you did with that. And you keep on asking them. There's an old, is it a Russian proverb? I used to attribute this to like Teddy Roosevelt or something like that. Not Teddy Roosevelt. Some president. Trust but verify. But it's actually like a Russian proverb or something like that. Trust but verify. Okay, I believe you. And can you prove it to me? Let me see your phone. Let's put an accountability app on your phone. Let me make sure. Because again, the odds of somebody going back to pornography within 6 months, if they aren't getting intentional help, is basically 100%. So if you ask somebody to stop and they say they will, and they don't do anything else except say, yes, I will stop, it's basically guaranteed that they will go back to it. It's basically guaranteed. They can delete everything on their phone. That's why you got to say, look, I don't care if you watch porn or not. If this is a boundary you want to set, I don't care if you watch porn or not, but if you do, I'm not going to be in this relationship, and I expect the truth. That's all I want is the truth. So, and then ask them, bring it up, make it a topic of conversation, because it should be. It's 2024. You go get a brand new iPhone, within 4 seconds, there's porn on it, whether you're trying or not. One time, I did this a long time ago. I created a backup account, and I went on, I said, let me see, basically, like, how long does it take for me to stumble across something that I don't want to see? I wasn't looking for porn. I went on TikTok on a brand new account. I swiped on the For You page one time. One swipe. And there was, how do I say it without getting banned? There was multiple top halves of women exposed. One swipe on a brand new TikTok account. I did this I didn't show it. I'm sitting here looking at my phone, brand new account, one swipe. And I was like, wow, I was not expecting that. So you have to have the conversation and treat it as though it is a big problem, because it is a big problem, with a level of intensity of saying, I don't want this. Just be honest with me. And again, have the conversation. Like, what is your history with porn? Let's talk about this, because it's pointing to an underlying desire or void or pain in their heart. And that should be discussed. Do I still struggle with it? No. No, there's nothing that I detest more, pretty much, than porn. It's not to say I don't have temptation. I'm not perfect, obviously, but I have no desire to watch porn, ever. I've been down that road. It's a bad road. It's a terrible road. It's the death and destruction off-ramp of the freeway to flourishing, is the porn road. So no, I have no struggle to watch pornography. Now again, are there beautiful people out there? Sure, but you can't help the first look. You can help the second look. You can't help the first thought, but you can help the second thought. Is couples therapy the help they should be doing if they're wanting help? The people who I see make the most progress the fastest are the ones who are getting some sort of one-on-one help, some sort of group help, and a consistent education, reading about pornography, about addiction, about sex, about relationship, and having a commitment to doing that for the rest of their life. How can I continuously better this relationship? First thought, beautiful. Second thought, like a sister or brother. Yeah. We have trust issues now, but after him stopping for over a year, I ask and he gets upset. Feels like I don't trust him. Yeah, I mean, that's one where, look, this is the orientation I have, and an orientation I encourage the men who I work with to have is, when you chose to betray your partner, you signed up for a lifetime of being asked and answering honest questions about what you're doing. You can either embrace that or resist it. And what you resist persists. If you resist those questions, they're going to keep on coming full force. So just open up your phone. Have an open phone policy. Anytime, anywhere, for whatever reason, I can look at your phone for anything, and I have every password to everything. Like, I can't even hide anything from my wife if I wanted to. She has every password. She's like logged into my texts on my phone. There's nothing that I can hide. Now, I'm if I wanted to go into deceit, I could, of course. But open phone policy. You get to see it all. Great. And I'm not going to be mad because you know what? I signed up for this when I decided to watch porn or cheat on you. I'm trying to envision what the coaching consists of. What does it take to get started? Well, it starts with a discovery call, which is linked to my bio. You know, Cal. And we'll chat about your situation. Check the calculator app. Yeah, who knows? 8008. I'm sure somebody could type that into a calculator app and have some fun with it. Oh, what am I, in high school? Did anybody get that? And if you're thinking about how can you try to catch him in it, you're asking the wrong questions. How can you learn to have open, intimate conversations with him is the question. Can you post more clips of you giving advice, reading the books? Yeah, I need to, Krista. I have been so lacking on content lately. But again, I kind of am having like this, like, what am I going to do if TikTok gets banned? Because TikTok's like my main platform. Um, but yeah, when I come back in the new year, I gotta build out Instagram and YouTube because I mean, just to be honest, everything with having calls and people in my groups and all that, it comes from TikTok right now. So if TikTok goes away, I got to figure out the other platforms or else I can't do this as much. I'm actually, once I get my nonprofit status, just spoiler alert, which I should hopefully get from the IRS like any day now, I'm going to begin asking for donations. Spoiler alert. If you want to support me and you don't want to join one of my groups, which is fine, but you want to contribute to the cause, I'll be asking for your money. A gift of any amount helps. The freaking IRS takes forever. I guess technically I could have people support me now, but it'll be tax deductible. I will be there. You'll be where? He swears he stopped after I've cried to him I'm pregnant, but he still watches it when I leave. Yeah, so sorry. That's tough. Oh, you'll be here. Yeah, good. It's different now. I just realized my worth and I decided that I would leave if he didn't change. Good for you, Natalia. Yeah, because you're worth something better than what you have tolerated for so long. For sure. And that's the invitation here, especially if you're not married and you don't have a kid, right? Yes, whoever said that, it's much easier to leave without a child. I'm not suggesting leaving is the answer, by the way. But if you're not married and you don't have a kid, you really got to ask yourself this question: why am I sticking around for this? Particularly if he's not willing to get help. If he's not willing to get help. All right, people, I'm going to go to bed. Thanks for being here. I should be on tomorrow night at about 11:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 Pacific. If you like my content, give me a follow. If you don't like my content, follow me anyways. Come back and argue with the people in the comments sometime. And Krista, I'm in my office now, my new studio I built out in my garage, where all great ideas flourish. And so I can be loud now, and I don't have to worry about my kids hearing me on the other side of the wall. I just have to worry about people on the street through the garage door. Unpopular opinion. Okay. Unpopular opinion. Let me ask ChatGPT. What is the most unpopular? No, give me a list of the 5 most unpopular opinions to hold in Western culture in 2024. Number 1, social media does more harm than good. Number 2, higher education is overrated and unnecessary. I would agree with that one. Minimal or no screen time for children. True. Number 4, monogamy is outdated. Number 5, climate change solutions should include nuclear energy. Each of these opinions counters prevailing trends or widely held beliefs, making them contentious topics in 2024. So number 4, monogamy is outdated. Questioning the sustainability or necessity of monogamy in relationships challenges traditional Western ideas of romantic love and partnership. Or is Sam, how many more times are you going to tell me you sent a request before you realized that I said I'm not taking any more guests and I'm getting off soon? Minimal or no screen time for children. Advocating for children to avoid all screens, including educational content, is increasingly unpopular. My wife and I were just talking about this. Like, I'd say we're pretty good with our kids and screens, but there's nothing good comes from it. Nothing good. It's like porn. Hold out as long as you can on the iPads for kids. They'll have plenty of time to sit on an iPad when they're an angry teenager. Unpopular opinion, your Your pediatrician does not have your children's best interests in mind. I think that's a broad statement. At a macro level, I can see how you'd come to that conclusion, but our pediatrician's pretty good, though. I really like her. Yeah, Angela, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, I'm not going to give my kid an iPad, I'd have so many dollars. But hey, you're a strong woman. You'll do it. So many dollars, yeah. I just love it. The things, and I'll put myself in the category too, like the things parents say before they have kids, or people say, and then they have kids, and it's like, oh yeah, that, like, I used to say I'd have my kids wear seatbelts. Now I'm just like, who needs a seatbelt? Just kidding. My kids wear seatbelts. My kids for sure wear seatbelts. You can't fold. All right, great being with y'all. We'll see you tomorrow night, 11:30 Eastern. Grab your popcorn. This was a fun one. They're all fun. Give me a follow if you guys don't follow me already. If you're interested in coaching, if you're sick and tired of the porn in your own life or your partner's life, schedule a call with me. I'd love to chat. It costs $1 for a 30-minute call. If you hate it, I'll give you your $1 back. All right, we'll see you. Bye-bye.